Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. Myriad worlds, steals food, and Queen Chang's son falls in love. Chapter 101. Otherwise, there will be many people coveting it. Our Chow family doesn't have that many soldiers and horses. If we can't protect such a magical thing, it will only cause disaster. However, this system has given us a magical land. Although it's only 16 acres, the time inside the system is 100 times longer than outside. 16 acres of land, the actual annual output is equivalent to 1,600 acres. With this sacred valley, the yield per mu will be 20 times. It's equivalent to us getting a harvest of 12,000 acres from these 16 acres of land every year. What's more, this magical system can also rely on this method of stealing to quickly obtain a large amount of food. This is simply a blessing from God to our Chow family, which brings great wealth. But sister, please don't say about this matter. It's a very important matter. It's enough for you and me to know. Otherwise, people will talk too much. If this shocking secret is spread, I'm afraid it will bring disaster to us in an instant. Hearing this, Xiao Chao nodded and said, Sister, what you said makes sense. Da Chao continued. More than that, have you read the introductions to Lingu? Those millets can actually cure the cold plague. It can greatly increase our eyesight and even gain divine ability. If word of this gets out, our Chow family will not be able to keep these good things no matter what. I'm afraid that you and I will also become the concubines of those big shots. Hearing Da Chao's words, Xiao Chao was frightened for a while, nodded and said, Sister, I understand, let's not talk about this matter outside. It's up to you and me to know. At this time, Du Yu was also checking out the more than 1,120 acres of spiritual valley obtained. As the host of the system, he is different from other members. That is, the system will provide him with an additional dimensional space, and all living creatures obtained from the system can be planted in it. There's just one thing, things planted in this dimension cannot be stolen, and they cannot interact with other members. Only those 16 acres of land are system orchards, and the things grown there can be seen and stolen by other members. Even so, it is already a great benefit for Du Yu. The good things he gets can be planted in this infinite dimensional space. Continuous planting and harvesting will make his good things endless in the future. These spiritual valleys are extremely extraordinary just by looking at their appearance. The ears of grain are as big as corn cobs and hammers. The millennium-old grains are as big as salmon roe, and the grains are as plump and as transparent as amber. They are as beautiful as works of art. The grains of Lingu that are more than 100 years old are as big as mung beans, and the grains are like topaz. If you try to tell people it is millet, no one will believe it. Even the health-preserving millet grains are twice as large as ordinary millet grains. They are golden and shiny, and will never be confused with ordinary millet. With so much food, Du Yu naturally couldn't eat it all by himself. Not to mention him alone, even if he has a wife and children in the future, he will definitely not be able to finish every meal of the 500-year-old spirit grain alone. To upgrade his system, one of the conditions is that his wealth must reach a certain level. So it is better to take out this health-preserving millet and sell it. It just so happens that although this health-preserving millet has high nutritional value and is very delicious, it is not spiritual grain and does not have that kind of special effect. Even if you take it out, it won't attract too much attention. For more than 2 years, the millet produced in Gowailing Valley, which is less than 100 years old, can only be called health millet. But even so, health-preserving millet that is more than 2 years old and health-preserving millet that is close to 100 years are certainly different. So Du Yu plans to grade the health-preserving millet, with 1 level every 10 years, and a total of 10 levels. The system also supports his grading. As long as he has a thought, the millet he harvests will automatically be divided according to the rules he set. From now on, health-preserving millet aged more than 2 years and less than 10 years will be sold for 100 yuan per catty. The price is absolutely reasonable. The high-end millet sold on the market already costs more than 100 yuan per pound. This millet that breaks the limits of life, in terms of nutrition and health value, is definitely higher than the highest end and best millet on the market. 0. Health-preserving millet that is more than 10 years old or less than 20 years old can be sold for 200 yuan per pound. Health-preserving millet that is more than 20 years old or less than 30 years old can be sold for 400 yuan per pound. By analogy, health-preserving millet that is more than 90 years old and less than 100 years old costs 51,200 yuan per pound. This is enough to earn a huge amount of wealth for myself. I wonder how many levels it can support to upgrade my system. This is something to consider in the future. Now I have just added that Xiao Chao needs to contact the girls first to build relationships. He first greeted and said, "Hello, Da Chao and Xiao Chao. I am a person from your future 1800 years later. My name is Du Yu. Are you two famous beauties in the history of the Three Kingdoms? You are considered by future generations to be among the top 10 beauties of the Three Kingdoms. Wow, this time I finally see the perfected being. She is truly the beauty of the apex level of the Three Kingdoms. She is so beautiful and eye-catching. By the way, are you married to Sun Ce and Zhou Yu now? This is our first meeting. Some gifts, I hope you like them." Du Yu clicked on the transaction and gave Da Chao and Xiao Chao a kilogram of century-old honey, as well as red strawberries and time crystal pears. The message said, "Not only are these things delicious, you will definitely like them. More importantly, they can also beautify and maintain your youth. The appearance is ageless." Quote, seeing this information, both Da Chao and Xiao Chao looked surprised, and at the same time they were very happy. As a woman, who doesn't like to be praised for her beauty? What's more, the gift the other party gave me can actually keep you young and beautiful. How could this not make them extremely happy? Moreover, as members of the system, as long as the two of them take a look at something that comes from the system, a brief introduction to the item will immediately appear. Seeing the magical effects of these items, they knew how precious these things were. The other party gave such a big gift as soon as they met, which made them feel good immediately. What's more, they also saw Du Yu's profile picture. They were of the same age as them and he was so handsome, so they liked him even more. "Thank you for the gift, sir, we are really flattered. In addition, we have something to ask." "What do you mean by what you just said? Will we marry Sun Ce and Zhou Yu?" As Sun Ce, the now famous Sun Bofu, the little overlord of Jiangdong. As Zhou Yu, referring to Zhou Gongjin, the jade-faced gentleman from Jiangdong. As soon as Du Yu looked at their information, he knew that they might not be married to Sun Ce and Zhou Yu yet. So he asked, "Has Sun Ce established himself in Jiangdong now?" Da Chao replied, "Sun Bofu borrowed 5,000 elite soldiers from Yuanshu some time ago and has established himself in Jiangdong." After hearing this answer, Du Yu knew the current time node, which should be between 194 and 195 AD. The big and small Chao married Sun Ce and Zhou Yu after they captured Lujiang County in 196 AD. He immediately said, "Those two, be careful. Next year Sun Ce and Zhou Yu will attack Lujiang County and Zhujiang County, and then they will steal you two as wives. But both of them are scams." When Xiao Chao heard this, he couldn't help but laughed out of curiosity and asked, "What do you mean they are all pitfalls?" Du Yu replied, "A pit is a big pit specially designed to frame people. You two must not marry Sun Ce and Zhou Yu. They are both short-lived. Sun Ce will die in 5 years. Zhou Yu lived slightly longer than him, but he also died young. If you marry these two people, you will be widowed. It's really sad that such beautiful people like these two ladies are married to these two short-lived ghosts." Hearing Du Yu's words, Da Chao and Xiao Chao were both surprised, and thought to themselves, "If this is the case, I really can't marry them. If these two people come to my house to ask for marriage in the future, they will definitely not be able to agree." But Du Yu said to himself happily at this time, "There is still more than a year, I don't believe that I can't win Xiao Chao. Sun Ce and Zhou Yu, I'm sorry, madams, I'm here. Anyway, you two are short-lived ghosts, so I will take care of your wife, so you can rest assured." Du Yu had no psychological burden at all to steal the wives of these two men. In history, after Xiao Chao married two people, the final result was not recorded, but if you think about it for a moment, there will be no good results. Because when Xiao Chao married two people, they were not wives, but concubines. When these two people died, Xiao Chao also had no heirs. In ancient times, it was not popular for men to remarry after their death, and they had no children to support them in old age, and their natal family was gone, so you can imagine what their endings would be like in their later years. There is no record of what happened to such famous beauties as Big and Little Chao in the Three Kingdoms after the deaths of Sun Ce and Zhou Yu. This also shows from another side that the ending is not good. Because the ending was not good, I couldn't bear to write it and leave a beautiful thought to the world. Since you don't know how to treat such a beautiful woman kindly, then don't blame me for robbing her. So Du Yuxiang felt confident. Now the first step is to sow discord. But this step is of little use, because in ancient times, it was the parents who had the final say on women's marriage. So the next step is to instill modern female ideas into the two women from now on, so that they can learn to be independent. Then arm them with good things from the system so that they have enough ability to protect themselves. When the time comes, Sun Ce and Zhou Yu still want to marry them as concubines, just dream. Even if they marry them, they won't do it. As for the new permissions Du Yu has now obtained, he can communicate with 3 members in real time every day without limiting the number of messages. So he chatted with Xiao Chao confidently and boldly. With 2,000 years of experience, he naturally made the 2 women cover their mouths and smile coquettishly from time to time. He just thought Du Yu was very interesting. After chatting for an hour, Xiao Chao was still a little reluctant to leave. Unfortunately, it was too late and the 2 of them were going to bed. In ancient times, the lights were dim and people held oil lamps at night. Not only did the light not be good, it would also hurt the eyes if they looked at it for a long time. What's more important is that in ancient times, even oil lamps were very expensive, and most people couldn't afford them. This made Du Yukai think that he was careless, and then said, "You 2 ladies, I will give you a good thing tomorrow. It allows you to light up your house as bright as day at night." This aroused Xiao Chao's curiosity again. When the 2 sisters went to bed at night, they tossed and turned, chatting about Du Yu and what they had seen today. This is the first time that the sisters have developed a strong curiosity about a man. Everything he experienced today also made it difficult for Du Yu to sleep. After 12 o'clock, a new day started and all permissions were restored. He sent a message to Bai Yuokui by accident, "Have you slept?" Unexpectedly, Bai Yuokui immediately replied, "Not yet, I am playing games." Du Yu replied, "Sister Bai, I can come to your orchard to meet you now, I think you can." "Well, come on." Du Yu saw the reply and quickly clicked on the interface to send the invitation. Bai Yuokui immediately agreed. The next second, Du Yu appeared in Bai Yuokui's orchard, and Bai Yuokui also appeared at the same time. The other party was wearing a pair of underwear. It looked like he was at home alone at night, so he seemed very casual. The other party didn't feel shy because of seeing Du Yu like this. "Anyway, I have seen all the photos I posted before. For people in the apocalypse, likely they have experienced life and death, and have taken a dim view of many things, and can better control their emotions." Bai Yuokui saw Du Yu showing some joy, his eyebrows slightly curved, and he bit his red lips gently. Seeing this, Du Yu Shengqin took the other party's hand and said with a smile, "Sister Bai, I finally meet you. Your perfect being is much more beautiful than in the photos. If possible, I would really like to take some artistic photos of you myself." Bai Yuokui nodded and said, "Okay. People living in the last days of life are like this, more straightforward and generous, and informal." She had a good impression of Du Yu, and she was grateful that he had helped her so much during this time, so she did not refuse Du Yu's request. Soon, Bai Yuokui transformed into a photography model, while Du Yu became a photography master artist, directing Bai Yuokui in various poses. Bai Yuokui has a pair of slender legs. The long-term battle has allowed her to open her legs at any angle of 360 degrees, and she can assume many incredible poses according to the photographer's requirements. This is really a surprise. This inspired Du Yu and made many bold requests. Finally, Du Yu also proposed that the 2 of them take a group photo together, and Bai Yuokui did not refuse. So one photo after another that symbolized the deepest friendship between the 2 was perfectly produced. Moreover, the 2 also jointly filmed a video that witnessed the first establishment of diplomatic relations between the 2 parties and established deep trust in each other. Du Yu returned 2 hours later and finally calmed down his restless heart. He didn't expect that the first one to win would be Bai Yuokui. But it seems understandable that people living in the apocalypse don't pay attention to euphemism, because survival is very difficult and they don't have much time to spend on other things. If you want it and the other party thinks it is feasible, it will naturally happen. What surprised him was that Bai Yuekui was cool and aloof, but he was by no means arrogant. He was very generous and willing to cooperate in such matters. Therefore, Du Yu unlocked many communication methods, and the communication between the two parties was very smooth. He smelled Bai Yuekui's body fragrance that remained on his body and had not completely dissipated, and fell into a beautiful dream. Bai Yuekui was also in another world. For the first time after entering the apocalypse, he completely relaxed and fell asleep, with a sweet smile hanging on his lips. Du Yu's body has been transformed by many good things, and Du Yu is now very energetic. You only need 4 or 5 hours of sleep at night to feel energetic. Get up early in the morning and practice Qigong in front of the rising sun. He also took crystal pear and Xian Ganoderma to make his mind clearer. With the medicinal effects of Xian Ganoderma, he tried to practice the cultivation method he got from Tushin Yaya. This is the most suitable method for his cultivation that he deduced in the system space last night by using space acceleration. Xiaozi was also very diligent and got up early, and saw Du Yu sitting there hovering, absorbing the yang energy of the morning sun. She also climbed onto Du Yu's lap, and then sat there cross-legged, absorbing the purple energy of the morning sun. Soon, a dense purple aura surrounded Xiaozi. Most of the purple energy was absorbed by her, and the other parts that could not be absorbed also penetrated into Du Dage's body. This made Du Yu's practice smoother. In addition, crystal pear can refresh the mind and help enlightenment, making Du Yu's practice improve a lot without realizing it. An hour later, Du Yu opened his eyes and saw Xiaozi sitting cross-legged on his lap. He already knew what was going on and couldn't help but smile. This daughter was well rewarded. Xiaozi, who had finished practicing, jumped down and said coquettishly, Dad, I feel like I have grown up a little bit more. Xiaozi is even more powerful. If anyone dares to bully Dad in the future, I will beat him. Haha, yes, you are such a good daughter. In that case, I will reward you with something delicious. After saying that, he took out a piece of bridling ginseng and stuffed it into Xiaozi's hand. Eat it as fruit. Thank you, Dad. So when Du Yu came out of the room with Xiaozi in his arms, Qing Lingruo and Hu Weimin saw this scene. Xiaozi was holding a 100-year-old ginseng that was almost as long as herself and crunching, 1 out of 10, half of a radish. This time, the three of them were not calm anymore. Qing Lingruo said, Cousin, if I read it correctly, this is a century-old wild ginseng, right? You, are you going to let this little girl chew and play with you? Senior brother, or all of your Quanjun sect such a prodigal? Don't use this kind of good stuff to make elixirs, just eat it as food. This is a waste of natural resources. Hu Weimin next to him also twitched the corner of his mouth, thinking, why is there such a big gap between this person and others? I spent 300 million yuan to buy a ginseng plant, but people gnawed it like a carrot. Oh God, please kill me. I'll choke you. Little girl, do you know that you ate 300 million in one meal? Xiaozi looked at the expressions of the three of them and thought that the other party was trying to steal her spiritual ginseng, so she quickly protected them in her arms and bit her mouth even more. With bulging cheeks, he shouted cutely, Dad, there are bad guys, and they want to steal Xiaozi's snacks. Dad, what Qing Lingruo heard was like a bolt from the blue. She didn't know why, but she couldn't accept it when she heard the little girl call Du Yu daddy. Hu Weimin and his wife understood clearly. It turns out she is your daughter, no wonder she is so favored. But as a daughter, can we also have a certain bottom line? How can we accept such a good thing so casually? Have you ever seen whose daughter eats 300 million yuan for a meal? You can easily make yourself poor by raising a daughter like this, do you know that? But then I thought again, it seems that even if the other party eats like this, he won't be able to eat enough. Someone just took out 2 ginseng sticks and got more than 600 million from me. I randomly picked up a Xian Ganoderma lucidum plant, and I earned it from Lao Shu. So Hu Weimin suddenly felt that he had lived for decades and was still the chairman of the dignified Hu group, but his life was not as good as that of a little girl in front of him. It was really heartbreaking. Well, Du Yu quickly explained with a smile, don't get me wrong. This is my adopted daughter, not my biological daughter. Hearing this, Qing Lingruo couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. It turns out she is an adopted daughter. It's like me and Master. Brother, you are so caring. Wow, your daughter is so cute. Come on, let me hug her. Du Yu smiled again and said, just right, I'm in a good mood today. My cousin came to stay at home, and my adopted daughter also came. I'll make you a good breakfast to reward you. Soon, the strong fragrance of grain came from the kitchen, and the fragrance filled the entire yard. Hu Weimin couldn't help but exclaimed, it smells so good, the taste of this millet is really mouth-watering. Qing Lingruo's delicate nose moved slightly, and then she exclaimed, it's Lingu. Then she rushed into the kitchen with a look of surprise, where she shouted, cousin, are you making Lingu rice? Du Yu's voice came from the kitchen, yes. Go out and pick up the bowls and wait. It will be ready in a moment. Qing Lingruo was kicked out, and she stamped her feet outside the door and said, senior brother is such a prodigal. He cooked a lot of Lingu rice. Are senior brothers from the Quanjun sect so luxurious? At this time, Hu Weimin also came over and asked with a smile, Miss Lingruo, what is Lingu? Qing Lingruo replied, millet and millet are annual crops. If there is a millet that can grow for more than 100 years, it is Lingu. The grains produced contain spiritual energy, which will bring great benefits to people after eating them. After ordinary people eat it, they can regulate their physique, maintain health and prolong life, improve their eyesight and clear their liver. People who practice Taoism can increase their power by eating it. HMPH, my cousin is so extravagant. We only have 2 acres of spiritual grain in our cave, and we can only produce several thousand kilograms of spiritual grain in a year. All the uncles, brothers, and sisters in the whole sect can only eat 1 meal of spiritual grain in 3 days, which costs 5 taels per person. He's so good. He cooked a big pot today for just the 3 of us to eat. It's such a luxury. Hu Weimin reminded from the side, Miss Lingruo, there are not 3 people, but 5 people. Qingmingro glanced at him, nodded and said, it's not 3 people, you don't count. It's a waste if you eat Lingu rice. Senior brother doesn't seem to have prepared anything for you. Hu Weimin burst into tears when he heard this. Girl, your words hurt my heart. What you said so bluntly makes me sad, old man. But I think brother Du Yu is not someone who treats people differently like this. I still have the slightest hope. Soon, Du Yu brought out 2 pots of rice. A pot of small rice, the rice grains are like soybeans, the grains are like topaz, the grains are distinct, it doesn't look like millet, more like steamed apex-level fish roe. The whole pot of rice seems to be glowing with bright yellow light. This is a luminous delicacy. The aroma that comes from it makes people want to swallow saliva. It really fits that saying, high-end ingredients often only require simple cooking methods. I saw Du Yu take out 3 bowls, scoop them out with a spoon, and place 3 full bowls of Lingu rice in front of Qing Lingruo, Xiaozi, and himself. Then he placed a bowl in front of the 3 of them, took a piece of century-old honey, broke it into 3 petals and put them in the bowl. I also took a few strawberries that were as big as peaches, bright red, and very pleasant, cut them in half, put them in a bowl, and poured milk on them. This made Qing Lingruo exclaim again, beautiful strawberry. When Hu Weimin heard this, he shamelessly asked, Miss Lingruo, what is a beautiful strawberry? Qing Lingruo replied, a kind of spiritual fruit. Although it is not very useful, it is a rare good thing. Regular consumption can make women more beautiful, have a better figure, and become more temperamental. It can regulate endocrine and treat many gynecological diseases. Men can also increase their appearance and improve their temperament by eating it. Master said it can also increase their male function. This thing is particularly delicious. I didn't expect it to be available here, senior brother. Senior brother, your meal is really a waste. Lingu rice, century-old flour honey and red strawberry milk, I have never tasted it like this. Du Yu smiled and said, really? From now on, I will raise you here and take care of your food and shelter. When Qing Lingruo heard this, she couldn't help but nod, yeah. I thought to myself, senior brother is so kind. Hu Weimin's wife Zhang Wenwei next to her heard that beautiful strawberries can increase appearance and improve figure, and her eyes lit up. At this time, Du Yu brought over another pot of millet. In this pot of millet, the rice grains were more than double the size of ordinary millet. It is also clear-cut, as beautiful as fish roe, and also exudes a rich grain aroma that makes people salivate. Of course, if there is not another pot of rice next to it for comparison, it will definitely make people exclaim, good stuff, good stuff. But there is no harm without comparison. Du Yu gave Hu Weimin and his wife a bowl of rice each and pushed it in front of them. Another person gave them a bottle of milk. The hospitality is not good, please use it slowly. 0 Please give me flowers. This made Hu Weimin couldn't help but twitch the corner of his mouth. Little brother, you also know that the hospitality is not good. The difference in your treatment is too obvious. Can we respect the old and love the young? Is it appropriate for us two old people to look at your good food? Du Yu chuckled and said, Mr. Hu, what I gave you is also good stuff, this is health-preserving millet. You can't buy it anywhere else except here. Not to mention anything else, the cost of this small bowl of rice is 500, and I won't even take your money. Qing Lingruo also nodded. Yeah, this is health-preserving millet. Didn't I just say it? Millet is an annual crop. The millet that grows from millet that can grow for more than 2 years without dying is called health millet. Uncle, the health-preserving millet in your bowl of rice is at least close to 10 years old. The nutrition of this millet is 2 to 3 times more than that of ordinary millet. Long-term consumption is good for the spleen and stomach and maintains health. Hearing this, Hu Weimin burst into tears. You eat 100 years of Lingu millet, let us eat 10 years of health-preserving Shaosai. You still say this is not a different treatment. By the way, if there was no comparison and there was Lingu millet, Hu Weimin would definitely think that this health-preserving millet is the best thing in the world. 500 yuan a bowl, definitely a rush to get it. But now when I compare it with the Lingu rice on the side, I suddenly feel that this health-preserving millet is not fragrant. Little brother, I also want to eat Lingu rice. Ahem, Mr. Hu, it's not that I'm stingy, it's just that the Lingu rice is too little. You see, our family has a large population and there isn't enough to eat. When Hu Weimin heard this, the corner of his mouth twitched and he thought to himself, I almost believed you, you big-headed devil. You young man is very bad. He looked at the big pot next to him. The Lingu rice steamed and it must be at least 10 or 8 pounds, right? You told me that this meal is too little and that there is not enough food for the large family. You are blatantly deceiving an old man like me. Is this appropriate? Hu Weimin coughed and said, Brother, how much does a bowl of this cost? I'll buy 2 bowls to try, okay. Du Yu coughed softly when he heard this, and then said, if you say that, it's not impossible. It's just that this thing is a bit expensive. You know it's made from spiritual grains. I won't charge you more. I'll charge you a cost, which is 500,000 for a bowl. For 500,000 a bowl, you can't buy it and suffer a loss, and you can't buy it and be cheated. Hu Weimin said quickly, stop saying anything and give us 2 bowls first. Okay, after saying that, Du Yu served 2 bowls of rice to the 2 of them, each full bowl worth 5 taels. He is very honest in doing business and will never skimp on anything. Then Zhang Wenwei punched Hu Weimin next to him, and Hu Weimin coughed again and said, 723, little brother, that pretty strawberry of yours, can you please give me a break? How much is appropriate? You make a price. Du Yu heard this. This is inappropriate. This thing is very expensive. Hu Weimin asked. It's expensive, it must have a price, right? Du Yu sighed and said, since you are asking for this reason, then don't say anything, 2 million apiece. I guarantee that if you take 1 pill, you will see immediate results. Mrs. Hu's appearance will be at least 1 year younger, and she is even more beautiful to the naked eye. After hearing this, Zhang Wenwei immediately shouted happily, give me 100 pills first. Hearing this, Du Yu almost spit out a mouthful of milk with a pop. If he hadn't swallowed the milk thinking that it contained century-old honey, it would have been ruined. I'll go. Am I asking for a lower price? 2 million for 1, and I'll ask for 100. Is the world of rich people so incomprehensible to ordinary people? Du Yu said, Mrs. Hu, there are not so many. Zhang Wenwei held his hand and said, no, you can have this. I can increase the price. Du Yu said with tears in his eyes, this really doesn't exist. Zhang Wenwei, this is really possible. Du Yu said, Mrs. Hu, I'm not joking. There really isn't that much of this. If there was, wouldn't I still earn it if I had the money? I don't have 100 pills in total in my hand right now. I can only give you 10 evenly at most. 10 is enough to make you beautiful. Zhang Wenwei shook her head and said, "You don't understand. Who among women would think that she has become more beautiful?" Then he looked at Qing Lingruo and said, "Girl, what do you think?" When Qing Lingruo heard this, she was speechless with a red strawberry in her mouth, but she just nodded. Even Xiao Zi next to her was nibbling on a big strawberry and nodded along. Well, at all times and in all countries, from old to young, women have never thought they were too beautiful. Do you underestimated the lethality of beautiful strawberries to women? It seemed that 2 million strawberries was too low. But if you say it out, you can't take back the water that was thrown out. You can only sell less and stop losses in time. What's more, he really doesn't have many strawberries of this kind. He currently only has 10 kilograms of strawberries in his hand, 1 or 2 strawberries, totaling only 100. Then he said, "Mrs. Hu, there really aren't that many. I'll let you know when there are more. And with your physique, you can only eat 1 strawberry a day." Mrs. Hu looked at Qing Lingruo and Xiaozi's bowls in disbelief. There were clearly 3 or 4 strawberries there. Du Yu coughed and said, "Don't look at them. They are different from you. They are cultivators and have special constitutions. If I eat any spirit medicine fruit, I can eat several times more than you every time. The medicinal effect of red strawberries is not strong. It doesn't mean that you can't eat more than 1 at a time. It's just that the effect of only 1 will be absorbed after eating. So the best solution is to take 1 a day." Hearing this, Zhang Wenwei sighed, took Du Qi's hand and said, "If you have this beautiful strawberry in the future, you must inform me. Our family is not short of money, I will buy whatever the price is." At this time, everyone started to eat. As for the pot of health-preserving millet, Du Yu did not waste it and gave it to the bodyguards for free. Although he couldn't afford Lingu rice, it was still okay to treat them to healthy millet for free. After all, the boss had spent tens of millions, so it wouldn't be appropriate for him to pay thousands for a pot of millet, right? At this time, I heard the sound of crackling rice everywhere. Point 0. Hu Weeman just wants to say one thing now, it smells so good. As for this Lingu rice, there is no need to save any of the dishes. Everything is so delicious that I wish I could bite off my tongue. All he wanted to say in his heart was, "I can eat 10 bowls of this kind of rice in 1 meal." However, what he said was indeed true. Lingu rice is different from ordinary millet. It contains pure energy and spiritual energy, which is very easy to absorb and will not form much residue when eaten in the stomach. So invisibly, people can eat more bowls. Ordinary people can eat 1 kilogram of rice. If you eat Lingu rice, in terms of appetite, you can eat 10 kilograms without any problem. And Qing Lingruo couldn't stop, eating bowl after bowl. As soon as she finished 1 bowl, Du Yu gave her another bowl. She originally felt embarrassed eating so much. But looking at the delicious and precious Lingu rice, I really can't refuse it. While eating, I was still thinking, does senior brother eat like this every day at home? If I eat so much, will it be too much for him to make money? In this way, Du Yu, Qing Lingruo, and Xiaozi ate 10 bowls of rice in a row. Each of them ate 5 kilograms before stopping their chopsticks. As for Hu Weeman and his wife, Du Yu only gave one person 2 bowls. Hu Weeman still wanted to eat. Du Yu shook his head and said, "Mr. Hu, I'm not saying I won't give it to you. It's not that you can't afford it. It's just that you and your lady are both mortals. 2 bowls a day is the limit. You can't digest it if you eat too much. I know that Lingu rice is the purest essence. It will be digested quickly if you eat it. If you feel a little hungry, try another bowl of health-preserving millet. Good things must be done in moderation, otherwise they will be in vain." Hearing this, Hu Weeman nodded. He felt that his limbs were all warm and very comfortable. At the same time, I can also feel that this kind of comfortable breath is no longer needed in my body, because if there is more, I feel that this warm breath starts to become hot. I understood that what Du Yu said was true, but I still felt a little lacking in my stomach and felt slightly hungry. So I ate 2 bowls of health-preserving millet with my wife. After eating, he directly asked his secretary to transfer 100 million to Du Yu. Du Yu said, "Mr. Hu, the offer is too much, 22 million is enough." Hu Weeman replied, "Not too much, my wife and I will have to bother you for a few more days, and this will be considered as daily meal money from now on. Save the hassle of transferring money once a day." Du Yu stopped talking when he heard this. If someone had money and was willing to give money, he had no reason to extrapolate. At this moment, a voice came from the door. Du Yu looked back and saw a middle-aged man dressed as a Taoist priest standing at the entrance of the courtyard, followed by 2 young Taoist priests. Qing Xuanzi, a sect from the cave, came to pay homage to the master of this place. When Qing Lingruo saw it, she immediately jumped up and opened the courtyard door happily. Master, why are you? Second senior brother, fourth senior brother, you also come down the mountain. The other party laughed and said, you little girl, you have only been down the mountain for a day, but you are eating and drinking well. But you are eating and drinking at your senior brother's place. Wouldn't it be disrespectful for me not to come over? The fourth brother said, Master, what did you say before going down the mountain? I want you to be smart when you go down the mountain and don't let others fool you. Qing Lingruo smiled and said, Brother, I am very smart. And with senior brothers from the Quanjun sect here, I won't be deceived. When the fourth senior brother heard this, the corner of his mouth twitched and he thought to himself, we are worried about you, a fake senior brother from the Quanjun sect. Qing Lingruo turned around and asked, Master and the 2 senior brothers came down the mountain so early, have they eaten? Qing Xuanzi laughed and said, if my master replies that he hasn't eaten, can you still take care of the food? Du Yu came over and said with a smile, Tianren is in charge of the meal. In this case, I will call you uncle. Master, please wait a moment. I'll go get the food right away. When Du Yu returned to the kitchen and there was no one around, he took out a pot of cooked lingu rice from the space. When he was cooking just now, he cooked hundreds of kilograms at a time. He thought it was troublesome to cook every day, so he burned a lot at once and kept it in the system space while time stood still. He didn't worry about spoilage or getting cold and it always looked freshly cooked when he took it out. He brought a pot of 15 kilograms of lingu rice and placed it in front of Qing Xuanzi and the others. Uncle and 2 senior brothers, please use it. I can still manage just 1 meal. This made the 3 of them couldn't help but twitch the corners of their mouths, thinking, this is just a meal. We are all here, and we don't dare to eat so much at one time. This made the 3 of them couldn't help but sigh. They were in the same sect, because they were also in a sect when they were young. Although there are only about 30 people, it is still one of the few ancient martial arts sects in the world today. Their sect only dares to eat a meal of spiritual grains in 3 days, and each person only has 5 taels of spiritual grains per meal. Good guy, now their sect can't keep up with someone else. Suddenly they feel that their life is so miserable. You may want to refuse, but you can't. The other party gave us too much. This meal was their monthly quota. Qing Lingruo also nodded and said, Master, senior brother, eat quickly. This is also the first time for me to eat all-you-can-eat lingu rice. It's so comfortable. In the past, the first meal in the sect only cost 5 taels, which was not enough to fill the gap between teeth. Senior brother is so kind, and there is plenty of food to take care of here. At this time, Du Yu brought 3 more bowls, took a piece of century-old honey, broke it into 3 pieces and put them in the bowl, soaked them in milk. It doesn't taste good just eating it. It's just right with honey and milk. The reception is a bit shabby, please don't mind, uncle and senior brother. You call this shabby? Why do we feel like you are dissing us by saying this? Eat, you have to eat. It depends on how good you are, I will eat you up today. The 3 of them immediately turned into diners with gritted teeth. This rice gets better and better the more you eat it, it's so delicious. I used to eat 5 taels in 3 days, but now I eat 5 kilograms in 1 meal. Isn't this delicious? Paired with century-old honey, which I only drink a few cups a year, it's so fragrant. They can only drink a few cups of 100-flower honey a year, with 1 or 2 drops of honey each time. But now the milk and honey in their bowls is 100-flower honey worth 1 tael per piece. Their quota for 2 or 3 years has not been this much. Qing Xuanzi was thinking in his heart, Disciple, it's not that you are spineless as a master, it's just that the other party has given you too much. I originally wanted to check out the other party's background. Now that the cannibal has a short mouth, how can we negotiate in a while? But this feeling really can't stop. This all-you-can-eat lingu rice is so delicious. Drinking honey without adding water is so sweet. The 3 of them had eaten and drank enough, and even burped. They were quite embarrassed and a little embarrassed. Du Yu looked at him and spoke with a smile. One of the reasons why I cooked so much extra food today was to prepare it for them. Although Ching Lingruo's second and third senior brothers have good skills, they are not comparable to Du Yu, a cheater. He practiced every night, either chewing a piece of spiritual ginseng or eating a piece of Ganoderma, which would last them 30 years of cultivation in one night. So when he met Ching Lingruo, he noticed that there were two masters following him. He just felt that the other party had no ill intentions, so he didn't pay attention. Although they hid in a tree 100 miles away, Du Yu could hear every move they made. Knowing that the two were Ching Lingruo's senior brothers, they didn't expose each other even more. When he heard that the two people had returned to their master's door to report the situation, he guessed that someone from Ching Lingruo's school would be visiting today, so he prepared a treat with delicious food and drinks. It was just to let them eat their fill first, so that they could have a good talk if they had something to do. Ching Xuanzi glanced at Ching Lingruo, and then said, "You said you would do your homework with your two senior brothers first. Although I'm down the mountain, I can't let go of my kung fu. Let your two senior brothers give you a test." "Master, I want to tell you something, senior brother Du Yu." After hearing this, Ching Lingruo followed the two senior brothers and left. Hu Weimin and his wife were also very sensible and left on the pretext of going down the mountain to see the scenery. Only Xiao Zi was left holding a piece of honey, nibbling it little by little. Ching Xuanzi then said with a smile, "Little friend Du Yu, people of the bright side don't speak secretly. Who are you? We have never heard that there is a Quanjun sect in this world." "Of course, Quanjun teaches me that I also know about the famous sect in the martial arts novel, The Legend of the Condor Heroes. But novels are lies. My disciple is simple, he has never been down the mountain, and he was taken over by you after just a few words. But it seems you don't have any ill intentions. Can you tell me your real name and who you studied under? Otherwise, I really wouldn't trust my little disciple with you. This girl has a hard life. She lost her parents when she was a child and was raised by me. To put it bluntly, I raised her as my own daughter. This daughter was deceived by another man's few words, and I, the father, cannot ignore it." Du Yu nodded and said, "Master, I misunderstood. I really taught you Quanjun. The Quanjun sect is not just a sect in martial arts novels, it actually exists in reality. It's just that our sect has already declined during the Ming Dynasty and is basically hidden from the world. Not only that, I am not only taught by Quanjun, but I also have more than one master. I also have some connections with Shaolin and the former beggar clan." After saying that, Du Yu stretched out his hand, and with a bang, a burst of hot air burst out, and his whole arm turned red. Ching Xuanzi was shocked. "Nine Yang magic." Du Yu said with a smile, "It's good that we know each other, uncle. Now you won't doubt me anymore, right?" This time, Xuanzi was a little confused. The Nine Yang magic is an undisclosed secret of Shaolin Temple. Of course, it is said that this magical skill has been learned by outsiders many times in history. In any case, the young man in front of him could use this unique Shaolin skill. He didn't believe that he had nothing to do with Shaolin. Now he believed the other party's words 7 to 8 times. Then he asked, "In that case, who did you bring my little disciple here, and what is your plan?" Du Yu immediately said, "I don't have any plans, I just like her and want to come over and be my wife. I believe that since you let her go down the mountain, you want her to be able to contact the world in the future, and you don't want her to live in the mountains all her life. In this case, I definitely hope that she can get married and have children in the future. You said you raised her as your own daughter. This should be the mentality of an old father. I don't worry about her, but I also want to arrange the rest of her life. What am I saying?" The other party nodded when he heard this and said, "You are right. This is indeed my plan. The ancient martial arts world is not as peaceful as it seems. She's a girl, so it's better for her to be less involved. I'll be satisfied if I can live a peaceful life. It's just that, for you," Du Yu said, "every year, 1,000 kilograms of spirit grain and 5 kilograms of century-old honey are provided. If the spirit is there in 1 year, I will supply it for 10 years. Plus 500-year-old ginseng and 500-year-old purple Ganoderma." Ching Xuanzi frowned slightly and asked, "What does this mean?" Du Yu smiled and said, "Bride price." When Ching Xuanzi heard this, He held Du Yu's hand and said, "Good uncle. Lingruo will be left to you from now on." Du Yu thought to himself, "You're so careless. Father-in-law, you changed your attitude so quickly that I was caught off guard." Then Qing Xuanzi's voice changed again and he said, "Even so, I hope you can be kind to Lingruo. I don't value these betrothal gifts. But you can offer such a betrothal gift to marry our family Lingruo, which shows that you are serious." With Lingruo's beauty and her background in the ancient martial arts sect, although she is allowed to go down the mountain and live a secular life, who knows what will happen in the future? Ordinary men cannot protect her. The fact that you can come up with these things also shows that you have an extraordinary background. This is why I feel relieved. But if you treat her badly, naturally, it is not convenient for the Dongyi sect to interfere in worldly affairs, but as an old father, I want to settle accounts with you." Du Yu smiled and said, "Master, don't worry. She won't lose anything by following me. I promise to let her eat lingu rice every time to keep her full, 100-year-old flower honey, and all kinds of Lingshan fruits. As long as she needs it, I will definitely take care of it. You can just leave her to me." The other party said, "Okay, I will leave the person to you temporarily. But it's only temporary. I'll have to observe you for half a year. If you are really sincere to her, I will let you marry her and go home in half a year." "Okay, it's a deal. It's a deal." The two of them laughed, and then Du Yu asked again, "By the way, uncle, our Quanjun sect has been away from the ancient martial arts world for a long time. I have been in seclusion for too long, and I don't know much about the current world of ancient martial arts. Please enlighten me, how many of those sects from back then are left?" The other party replied, "Not many. There are only about 50 people, large and small, with names and surnames. On the contrary, there are quite a lot of those ancient martial arts families left, including 130 or 40 families, large and small. The most famous sect is Shaolin Wudang. But it's not the Shaolin and Wudang that people travel to on the surface. Behind them, there is still the martial Dao inheritance from back then." Zhao Lao's then the other party gave Du Yu a detailed explanation of the current situation, which gave Du Yu another understanding of his own world. Since the founding of the People's Republic of China, there has been a major crisis in the martial Dao inheritance. After practicing martial arts for decades, I still have to tremble when I encounter Gatling. Compared with the power of technology, practice is slow and cannot defeat guns and cannons, so there are fewer people who actually practice martial arts. And the real ancient martial arts, the real national martial arts, are not those routines and tricks. If they are really practiced, they are also powerful killing skills. Although this kind of skill is no longer enough when faced with large-scale guns and armies, but when faced with ordinary people with bare hands, it is like a tiger overtaking a flock of sheep. It is not a problem for an ancient martial arts master to defeat dozens of ordinary people. In this case, if everyone learns martial arts, it will be a serious harm to social security. Therefore, the state restricts the dissemination of true Chinese martial arts and ancient martial arts. As a result, the ancient martial arts world officially turned from the bright side to the dark side, and could no longer accept disciples with as much fanfare as before. In addition, the world has undergone some changes. Since the Ming Dynasty, the spiritual energy has become thinner and thinner, and it has become increasingly difficult to achieve success in martial arts. The various resources required for martial arts training are becoming increasingly scarce, which further limits the scale of each sect. According to Qing Xuanzi, in today's world, even the only remaining famous sect in the Xia Kingdom like Shaolin Wudang only has a few hundred true successors who practice ancient martial arts. The small sect is like their Dong sect, with only 30 or 50 people. Moreover, all martial arts families must register with the state and abide by relevant laws. They cannot show off their martial arts skills casually in normal times to avoid causing social turmoil. Of course, there are also many people in the ancient martial arts community who are unwilling to register with the state, so they are defined as illegal sects. If they don't commit any crime, it's okay, but if they do, they will be severely punished. Du Yu nodded and said, "I am quite interested in the current ancient martial arts world and would like to get in touch with it. I don't know what way to do it." When Qing Xuanzi heard this, he pondered for a moment and said, 12 days later, there will be an ancient martial arts exchange meeting over there at Jingmen. It is an annual conference where various sects and families exchange materials and discuss things. If you really want to get in touch, you can go with me then. Okay, thank you, uncle. After a while, Ching Lingruo came back with his 2 senior brothers. Ching Xuanzi said with a smile, okay, I will come down the mountain to see you and you will feel relieved. From now on, you can follow your senior brother Du Yu and live here for the time being. You just came down from the mountain and don't understand many things. Listen to your senior brother's opinions on everything. Ching Lingruo's 4th senior brother became anxious upon hearing this. Master. Ching Xuanzi waved his hand and said, okay, my master has already decided so, there is no need to say more. Why? After sending the 3 people away, Du Yu also hurried back to the house because he received a system notification. Li Zunwan approved his friend application. He opened Li Zunwan's interface and found that the things grown in his orchard were different from others. What they planted was a large area of sorghum, a few willow trees, sandalwood, wangwali, and nanmu. This made Du Yu couldn't help but think, Li Zunwan is good at wine. Is he planting so much sorghum just to make wine? These willows, wangwali, etc., are they cut off for carving? I don't know what I will get in the end if I steal these things. Thinking of this, Du Yu looked at the largest tree and reached out to steal it. Ding, the steal was successful and I got the 450-year-old golden nanmu, 1 tree. The nanmu mutated under the influence of time and space when it crossed time and space, and became the 1100-year-old golden nanmu. And during this process, they continued to reproduce, producing 2000-year-old golden nanmu spiritual trees, 12 golden nanmu spiritual trees over 500 years old, and 486 golden nanmu trees over 100 years old. W. The golden nan spirit wood contains the aura of gold and thunder attributes, and is the spiritual material for refining the gold and thunder law treasure. It can also be used to arrange magic circles, build sect practice rooms, etc. 500 years, it's a middle-grade spiritual material. 1000 years, it is a high-grade spiritual material. Ding, I'm glad you got 3000-year-old golden nanmu trees, 12 golden nanmu trees that are over 500 years old, and 486 golden nanmu trees that are over 100 years old. Ding, congratulations to your friend Li Zunwan for obtaining 3000-year-old golden nanmu spiritual trees, 12 golden nanmu spiritual trees over 500 years old, and 486 golden nanmu trees over 100 years old. Interesting, I got something very interesting again this time. It turns out to be a material for refining law treasure, and can also be used to build houses in the world of cultivation. Houses built with this kind of golden nan spirit would naturally have spirit gathering arrays, which are very suitable for cultivation. Putting aside these for now, even the golden nanmu that are more than a century old are also valuable. Everyone knows that golden nanmu is one of the 4 precious woods. Its price is comparable to gold. The main reason is that it is too difficult to grow into useful materials. It takes 50 years to grow into useful materials. However, if you want to truly grow into valuable aniseed, you need to grow it for more than 100 years. A piece of golden nanmu like that would cost millions, and a good one would cost tens of millions. And Do you believe that there was a system to protect it? After being cut open, these golden nanmu trees would definitely contain supreme grade. Each of these trees is worth more than 10 million, and the older they are, the more valuable they are. Then he sent a message to Li Zunwan. Hello Li Zunwan, I am Du Yu from 600 years in the future. I use a piece of information that is very important to you in exchange for your family's martial arts, Shaoli flying knife. This news is related to Lin Xian's lifelong happiness. If you miss this message, Lin Xian will have a miserable life. At this time, Li Zunwan was in his garden, having just finished competing with Long Xiaoyun. When he saw this information, he frowned. Lin Xian is his cousin and his fiancée. In the original novel, she is the woman he feels guilty about and loves all his life. Li Zunwan was of course unwilling to see Du Yu asking him for the little Li flying knife from his family's martial arts. But the other party said that there was a crucial piece of news about Lin Xian's future happiness, so he couldn't remain indifferent. And he also saw the system prompt. The other party stole a 450-year-old golden nanmu tree from him. In the blink of an eye, he had 3,000-year-old golden nanmu trees, 12 500-year-old golden Nanmu trees, and 486 golden Nanmu trees. Silk Nanmu. And these are all stored in his system space. This also let him know the magic of this Myriad Worlds food-stealing group. Since these people come from the Myriad Worlds, it is not impossible that they come from the future. Could it be that in the future, my cousin's fiancée will encounter some big changes and her life will be miserable? Thinking of this, his heart couldn't be calm anymore. Then I thought about the 600 years of time and space between the other party and myself. Even if you give your family martial arts to the other party, it will have no impact on your current situation. So Li Zunwan nodded and said, "Okay, I agree. Tell me what will affect Xian's life." Du Yu replied, "Looking at your profile picture, you are still very young, and you don't look like you will be decadent in the future. I think Lin Xian is still your fiancé now, right? She hasn't married that insidious villain Long Xiaoyun yet, right? By the way, have you met that insidious villain Long Xiaoyun now? Be careful with the other person, he is a despicable and shameless person. He was injured when he saved you on purpose, so as to arouse your favor. Because he knows that you are a person who values love and justice, so he deliberately approached you in order to seize your property and fiancé. He took advantage of the fact that you value brotherhood and made you feel guilty because he saved you from injury. So after I became good brothers with you, I knew Lin Xian was your fiancé, but I deliberately said that I liked Lin Xian in front of you, and also said that if I couldn't marry Lin Xian, I would be alone for the rest of my life. In the end, in order to fulfill your good friend, you gave your fiancé to him, and in order to let Lin Xian have a good life, you even gave your family property as a dowry to Long Xiaoyun. Then you wander around the world alone, but you don't know that Long Xiaoyun is quite despicable and nasty. After Lin Xian married him, he was abused in every possible way. Later, he hung out with Lin Xi's good sister Lin Shan'er. Forget it, after all, you are a person who values love and justice. You are very skilled in martial arts but very blind. I clicked on the transaction. You passed on your family's martial arts, Shaoli flying knife. I also passed you a book. Everything you will encounter in the future is written in it. Read it yourself. Quote. At this time, Li Zunwan received the transaction application. Without saying a word, he copied the secret book of his family's martial arts, Shaoli Fei Dao, through the system and made a hand-to-hand transaction. Then I looked at the book I got, The Sentimental Swordsman's Ruthless Sword, and started to read it slowly. At the beginning, he appeared decadent. As the plot progressed, the more he watched, the more he felt immersed in it. He smiled knowingly when he saw in the book that he and Fei had become close friends. The character of Fei in the book is indeed very appealing to me. If I could meet him, I would definitely become a good friend. Not only that, the book also mentions many masters on the weapons list. There are many masters whose rankings are different from what they are now, but they have become famous. There are many masters who have not yet entered the weapons ranking list, but are already well known in the world. This made Li Zunwan realize that the weapons catalog here should be the ranking of weapons catalogs 10 or 20 years in the future. And some of them rank well. For example, if the weapon spectrum is ranked first, Old Man Tianji, the opponent is now ranked first. Another example is the Blue Demon Shou Yi Chou, who is already ranked among the masters on the weapons spectrum. For example, Shangguan Jinhong, who is ranked second in the Dragon and Phoenix Ring, is also a master in the weapons spectrum, but he is not ranked second yet. This is easy to understand. The opponent is still very young, his skills are not enough, and he has not yet reached his peak state. From this point of view, the new weapon ranking in the opponent's book is credible. Through this, we can see that the content of this book is credible. Otherwise, how could a person in another world know the weapon spectrum of his own world? There are so many masters who can get it right. So everything written in this book should be true. Thinking of what the other party said, he frowned and stayed up all night trying to finish the book. During this period, Long Xiaoyun also came to see him, wanting to have a drink and chat with him. Li Zunwan thought of Du Yu's reminder and found an excuse to evade it. He wanted to read the book and find out what kind of person Long Xiaoyun was. When Long Xiaoyun left, he was still there muttering, "I wonder what happened to Li Zunwan." He originally planned to take this opportunity to have a drink and chat with Li Zunwan, pretend to be drunk, and deliberately say that he liked Lin Xian to see what Li Zunwan's reaction would be. Point 0. He was extremely jealous of Li Zunwan, who was born into a famous family, with 5 jinshi in his family, and 3 in his fathers and sons. In officialdom and in the court, he was a famous nobleman. Even in the martial arts world, their family's unique skill of flying swords, Xiao Li, is able to sweep the entire martial arts world. Whether in government or in opposition, the Li family has enviable power. Li Zunwan was born into wealth, but he happened to be admitted to the top 3 universities, but he didn't bother to be an official. He abandoned the wealth that others had at their fingertips. This made Long Xiaoyun itch with hatred. He also wanted that kind of wealth. Things that you can't even ask for, the other person has since he was born, but he still doesn't want to ask for them. So he found an opportunity to get close to Li Zunwan on purpose. When Li Zunwan was fighting with the 7 heroes outside the pass, he deliberately stood in front of him and blocked the opponent's sword from getting injured. Point 0. In fact, Li Xuanhuan's martial arts didn't require his help at all. He just deliberately pretended to be injured while saving him, making Li Xuanhuan feel guilty. Then he got closer to the other party step by step and planned everything about the other party, including the other party's property and married wife. He is nakedly jealous of Li Zunwan, and wants to use all methods to step on him and achieve his own success. For Lin Xian, all he had was possessiveness, not love. But I don't know why Li Zunwan locked himself at home today. Usually when I ask him to come out for a drink, he readily agrees. It's a bit strange today. Long Xiaoyun couldn't help but murmured to himself, forget it, maybe he really has something to do, and I'll ask him out for a drink tomorrow. When the time comes, I will pretend to be drunk and say that I love Lin Xian so much that if I can't marry him, I will live forever. With Li Zunwan's idiotic character, he will definitely help me in the end. Humph, idiot, I just want to play with your woman, and I want you to give up all your property. This kind of young master who was born with a golden key in his mouth regards money as dung and wealth as floating clouds. But how do you know that without money and wealth, you are nothing? Long Xiaoyun was extremely angry. In what way am I worse than you? Aren't you just from a better background than me? That's why you became famous at a young age, and I am nothing. You obviously got the top 3 in the exam and can become an official. Why do you come to the world to compete with people like us who have trouble getting ahead in the world to compete for the opportunity to become famous? At this time, do you also obtained Li Zunwan's family secret, Xiao Li flying knife? This is the most magical martial arts among Ji Yulong's novels. Because this martial arts has an invincible law. That is, Xiao Li's flying knife never misses a beat. You can be more powerful than the person who uses Xiao Li's flying knives, forcing the opponent to have no chance to use the flying knives. But no one can let the descendant of Xiao Li's flying knife make this flying knife. Otherwise, no matter whether you are the number 1 in the world or the number 2 in the world, you will all die. Shangguan Jinhong defeated old man Tianji and became extremely arrogant, insisting on receiving a flying knife from Li Zunwan. Obviously he had the opportunity to lead the money gang to unify the entire world, but he paid the price with his life just because of this arrogance. The great thing about Xiao Li's flying knife is that the speed of this flying knife exceeds the speed of sound. In the world of martial arts, there is a magical martial art, which is to identify the position by listening to the wind. But when faced with Xiao Li's flying knife, this martial art was not only useless, it was also a fatal martial art. Because Xiao Li's flying knife exceeds the speed of sound, by the time you hear the sound of the flying knife has already been inserted into your body. What is the concept of speed of sound? The first manned aircraft in human history that exceeded the speed of sound was after World War II. Human weapons could not exceed the speed of sound until the advent of fixed-charge bullets. Before this, even the fastest weapons, strong bows and crossbows, could not break through the speed of 100 meters per second. The Li family's Xiao Li flying knife is 3 to 4 times faster than the fastest weapons in ancient times. No wonder there are no false starts and no one can escape. Do you even suspected that Xiao Li Fidao might no longer be a simple martial art? It had reached the threshold of cultivation and was a martial art that used martial arts to enter Taoism. Xiao Li's flying sword should go one step further and it should be the legendary sword control. After you watched the relevant cultivation methods, coupled with the cultivation methods he obtained from the world of the fox demon little matchmaker, and compared the two, he confirmed his conclusion. Shaoli Fidao really goes one step further, and it is a technique that can be used to enter Taoism through martial arts. Shaoli Fidao has touched something similar to the sword intent in the world of the fox demon little matchmaker. The reason why this step cannot be achieved is simply because there is no law treasure in the world of martial arts. Ancient people didn't understand aerodynamics. Therefore, the Li family's flying knives can no longer withstand faster speeds. Nor can it carry a stronger sword intention. So there is no way to go further. If he could take this step, he could completely form the unique sword intention of Shaoli Fidao. Then you can use this sword intention as the center to lead your own internal power true chi to transform into mana, and achieve the purpose of entering the Tao through martial arts. But these difficulties do not exist here in Du Yu. He can use current scientific and aerodynamic principles to design the most aerodynamic flying knife. Then he entrusted Tushin Yaya to help him create the law treasure flying knife in the world of the fox demon matchmaker. In this way, he can take a path to Taoism through martial arts. As for how he will practice in the future, Du Yu has figured it out, since there is a system behind him. Then his future cultivation will not only be limited to one path, but must proceed on multiple paths simultaneously. Martial Tao cultivation, including the fantasy mythical and other cultivation methods that may be available in the future, practice at the same time to make yourself stronger. While Du Yu was practicing, Huimin and his wife had moved to a town at the foot of the mountain. They were both surprised when they accidentally heard the legend of Centennial Grass Coral. Another legendary thing actually leaked out from the hands of little brother Du Yu. The other party is really mysterious. He always has magical things that we don't know about. This made Huimin more determined to be neighbors with Du Yu. Du Yu used 100 times the time acceleration in the system space, and coupled with his profound skills, he quickly mastered Shaoli's flying knife training. At this time, he saw the message from Queen Changsun, who actually took the initiative to send photos and videos. 0. This made Du Yu smile slightly, indicating that the other party was more accepting of him. The other party's photos and videos also made Du Yu's eyes light up. It turned out to be outdoors, the sky was blue, the grass was green, and there were green mountains under the white clouds. Let me go, Sister Changsun, you are actually a self-taught person who knows how to shoot both Chinese and foreign films. You only have a golden belly band, and the background is based on nature, so you are not afraid of being seen by any deceiver. Oh, I'm overthinking it. You are the queen. You can find someone to clear the place, so you don't need to worry. It's amazing. The state of mind and interest of practicing the horse stance in the open mountains is worthy of praise. There is also a message behind the photo. I'm in a good mood today, so I took 2 random pictures during my outdoor outing. It feels pretty good. Brother Shah helps me appreciate it. Du Yu gave a thumbs up and replied, Sister Zongsun, this photo shoot was great. The outdoor scenery is so beautiful, I would like to see another 100 million pictures. He clicked to video chat with Queen Changsun. Video chat, Queen Changsun still doesn't quite understand what it means. Video, she probably understood what it was by now. So I guess that Kiba is sending a short video to chat. If that's the case, it's really a bit embarrassing. After all, feeling through words and through images are completely different. Empress Changsun blushed just thinking about how many photos she had sent to him in the past 2 days. But thinking about Du Yu's identity as the leader of the group, she didn't want to offend him. Should I accept it or reject it? Then she gritted her teeth and thought, anyway, I've seen all the photos I should see, and I've also posted some short videos. The big deal is just to chat and send more videos to each other. So click accept. Unexpectedly, a picture appeared in front of him, and Du Yu appeared on the opposite side. This made Queen Changsun so surprised that she covered her little mouth. Thanks for watching, please like and subscribe. Chapter 111. Du Yu smiled and greeted, hello, Sister Zongsun. Oh my god, it was actually possible to talk face to face across time and space, which was a bit beyond Empress Changsun's expectation. But she calmed down quickly. After all, she was ready to accept it. The original idea was to keep sending short videos to each other and record what she wanted to say and send them to each other. Now, although there are some differences from what I thought, I can chat normally face to face. But generally speaking, it's not too bad and it's acceptable. After saying this, Queen Changsun's face turned slightly red, and then she became normal and sat upright again. She didn't expect to be face to face like this. You should know that she is only wearing a light cyan bellyband now, which is still semi-transparent. But as expected of a queen, she has a strong ability to control her emotions. Since she is ready to accept this way of chatting, why not be more generous? Sister Zongsun, the 30 photos you took today are so beautiful. Please take more in the future. Du Yu smiled again and said, Sister Zongsun, what you are wearing today is so beautiful. Sister, do you usually dress this tastefully? Empress Changsun blushed slightly, pouted her lips, and said with a sweet snort, Smelly brother, you tease my sister right from the start. If you are in front of me, my sister will have to spank you. It's so cheap and so good. Why, don't you like it? If you don't like it, I'll get a new one. Don't be like this, it's good. Du Yu said immediately with a smile. Du Yu found that the video chat provided by the system was a bit different from traditional video chat. It is also a full-angle panorama. Du Yu can switch the angle of view at will, and can also zoom in and out the camera. After Du Yu inquired about the system, he learned that this was a function unique to the system host. Whether it is holographic photos, holographic videos, or holographic chats, these are the exclusive privileges of the host. After zooming out, it was discovered that Queen Changsun was on a hillside in the wild. The surrounding area was very empty, and there was an unobstructed grassland on the other side. If someone appeared on the other side, she would probably be able to spot the beauty Queen Changsun from a distance. Good guy, this eternal queen is so wild inside that she dares to play. Du Yu exclaimed in his heart, Queen Changsun YYDS. Empress Changsun pouted her little mouth and said a little arrogantly, Ha, I know you like this bad guy. Don't even think about it. I was so nervous and scared when I took this photo. I'm afraid that if someone comes out of nowhere, the whole book will be embarrassed. Du Yu chuckled and said, Aren't you the queen? You can clear the place. Empress Changsun pouted and said, Clear the place. They are the ones who deserve to be cleared the most. He follows me all the time, even if I want to find a chance to be alone. You know how much effort it took me to get rid of the guards and maids around me. Du Yu smiled carefully and said, Thank you for your hard work, sister. Come, I will give you a gift. After completing the click transaction, Queen Changsun asked curiously, What gift? Du Yu chuckled and said, A gift that can increase critical strikes and attack speed. What critical hit? What attack speed? Queen Changsun was a little confused by these words. Then she clicked on the transaction and accepted the gift from Du Yu. Queen Changsun was stunned. What is this? She opened the shoebox and saw a pair of black high heels lying inside. He took a look and said, Interesting, these look like shoes, right? Du Yu nodded and said, Yes. These are the high-heeled shoes that women in our era love to wear most. Made of leather, women will feel more elegant and look better when walking when wearing it. I bought several pairs for my sister at once. There are various styles, including stiletto heels, wedge heels, black ones, white ones, pointed ones, fish mouth ones, etc. Pumps, and high-heeled sandals. I guarantee that my sister will look even more beautiful after wearing it. Queen Changsun looked at the 7 or 8 shoe boxes and nodded. These shoes are indeed very beautiful. Apart from anything else, high-heeled shoes are made with modern technology and have shiny uppers that cannot be compared to ancient shoes. Empress Changsun was also itching unbearably. She kicked off her gold-embroidered shoes with her jade feet, picked up a pair of high heels and put them on her feet. Then her eyes couldn't help but light up. Interesting, after wearing these shoes, the feet seem to be more slender and have a unique charm. Then Queen Changsun stood up and walked in high heels. Although it was my first time to wear high heels, it was a little difficult to master the balance. But after all, she had practiced martial arts and was from a wealthy family, so she usually practiced her walking manners. As a result, within a few moments, Empress Changsun was able to walk out of a catwalk without any instructions. It's just that her steps are a little different from the cat's steps. She has a noble, gentle and elegant temperament unique to the queen. Empress Changsun smiled and said, Okay, not bad. These shoes are interesting, although wearing is a little bit painful. But I also feel it helps my appearance. Smelly brother, you are really thoughtful. I like this gift. Then I sat down again and saw there were bags and bags over there. I didn't know what they were. After opening one of the packages and shaking it out, Empress Changsun looked at the long and somewhat transparent item and asked uncertainly, "Is this a sock?" Du Yu nodded excitedly. "Yes, these are the stockings that our future generations of women like to wear the most. I also bought a lot for my elder sister, including black silk, white silk, and pork shreds. There are long tubes, there are garters, there are rompers. There's lace, there's netting, there's letters. Guaranteed to increase my sister's infinite charm. Sister, put it on quickly and let me see it. I like pork shreds the most, you should wear the meat first." Empress Changsun followed Du Yu's request and took out the flesh-colored stockings, then said with wide eyes, "These are socks. Don't they feel like they are not worn at all?" Du Yu snorted and said, "Sister, how can you talk like this? How can you say that wearing it is the same as not wearing it? You haven't put it on yet, but you will know when you put it on. It will definitely be different." After hearing this, Empress Changsun began to put on her stockings doubtfully. The process of putting on stockings made Du Yu feel itchy in his nose. I secretly praised in my heart, "Sister, you are so good at seducing me." After putting it on, Queen Changsun's eyes lit up, "So that's it. It's really different wearing it and not wearing it. Although it is still flesh-colored when I wear it, it gives my legs a silky sheen. How can I say it looks like? The legs look more slender, beautiful and eye-catching. That kind of looming feeling is more alluring. If I can't go out wearing socks like this, how many men can stand it?" Smelly brother, it turns out that this is what you meant by increasing critical strikes and increasing attack speed. Humph, are all people in future generations so good at playing? At this time, Du Yu shouted excitedly, "Sister, let's not have too many restrictions. Just put on stockings and high heels." Hearing this, Queen Changsun rolled her eyes at her, "You are asking for more and more." But the other party's suggestion also made her feel a little strange. She also wanted to see what kind of effect it would have. So soon there appeared the Changsun queen wearing high heels and lace stockings, and had the first naked chat in ancient and modern times with Ni Bao. Queen Changsun also felt that she was in a very strange mood, and couldn't help but feel a little excited. Especially after she took several selfies of herself, she saw the effect of dressing like this. I couldn't help but be surprised in my heart. Oh my god, I am more charming than a vixen with this look. Thinking of this, I couldn't help but pose more. In the end, Empress Changsun learned to straighten her legs without any teacher, and use her toes to hold high heels and cross them there. Du Yu's heart was shaking as he swayed, and he shouted excitedly, "Sister Zongsun YYDS!" You're really good at it. As expected of a queen, she knows how to do this kind of thing without a teacher. Sister, your legs are really fun. Empress Changsun was confused by this series of modern words. What is YYDS? What is leg play? Du Yu chuckled. YYDS means eternal god. The meaning of playing with legs for a year is that I can play with these legs for a year and never get tired of them. Empress Changsun spat and said, "Bah, you people in the future can actually create such words. Forget it about the eternal god. You can think of the word, leg playing year." Then he snorted arrogantly, pouted his lips and said, "Can I only play with my legs for 1 year?" Du Yu smiled and replied, "Of course not. Sister's legs have been playing for hundreds of millions of years. That's pretty much it." Empress Changsun chuckled and said, "I like your gift very much. When I have time, I will take another outdoor selfie wearing high heels and stockings, and then I will send it to your stinky brother." The two chatted for a while and then hung up the communication. Du Yu was still sighing. It's true that I thought about this day when I went to buy a car last time, and bought some high heels and stockings by the way. It's true that the store clerks looked at me with a slightly different look at that time, which made me roll their eyes. But speaking of Sister Changsun, wearing high heels and stockings will increase your critical strike and attack speed by quite a bit. In the future, those ancient ladies will equip them with such magical costumes, and no one will be left behind. By the way, there's also Xiao Chao. Thinking of this, she sent another message to Xiao Chao. You two ladies, I have a gift for you. High heels and stockings, you will become more elegant and beautiful after wearing them. Also during the Han Dynasty, kerosene lamps were used must be inconvenient to use at night, right? I gave you 2 horse lanterns. After adding kerosene to them, they burn brighter and won't produce smoke. In addition, I also gave you a flashlight, which can be used for lighting at night. In 2 days, I will buy 2 solar-powered lamps and I will send them to you then. This way you can illuminate the room as bright as day at night. The instructions for use are accompanied by pictures. You 2 ladies don't know that the system has a camera function, so I'll teach you how to use it. The 2 sisters took beautiful photos, please remember to send them to me for appreciation. This time, Du Yu plans to steal another weed from Xiao Chao's orchard to see what good things he can get. What he never expected was that the last time he didn't want to steal weeds, he stole a foxtail grass. This time he wanted to steal some weeds, but accidentally stole something else. It can only be said that the orchard of Xiao Chao has not been picked up for a long time. Weeds and various things are intertwined in it, so it is easy to steal the wrong ones. Ding, the steal was successful and I got 2 caddies of tea. The tea mutated when it transmigrated time and space and became the 2000 years enlightenment tea. A cup of enlightenment tea, 5 grams of tea, can help you achieve enlightenment in 1 hour and gain the equivalent of a year's worth of enlightenment. It also has a greater chance of stimulating a state of enlightenment and achieving a stronger enlightenment effect. Ding, congratulations on getting 2 cups of tea for 2000 years of enlightenment. Ding, congratulations to your friend Xiao Chao for receiving 2 kilograms of 2000 years enlightenment tea at the same time. Du Yu was extremely surprised. I'm going to kill you. Wow, it's enlightenment tea. This is a divine level, immortal level item that often appears in various fantasy novels and mythical novels. It's the kind of genius who is a cultivator, a rare treasure that all the major leaders want. A single leaf can make people fight to the death. I actually gained 2 pounds all of a sudden. I'm really too embarrassed this time. But Du Yu felt that the 2000-year enlightenment tea he got was probably different from the one in fantasy novels. Judging from the effective description, it should not be as powerful as those in fantasy novels. After all, in the fantasy mythical novel, it takes tens of thousands of years for a tea tree to grow a leaf. So my 2 pounds of tea probably won't have such a strong effect, but even so, it's definitely a good thing. 1 kilogram of tea leaves can make 200 cups of tea. 1 cup of tea leaves can be used for 1 year of hard work and possible enlightenment. This value is absolutely immeasurable. At this time, Xiao Chao also received the message and replied, "Young master gave us another gift, which is really embarrassing for us. I always ask the young master to give us gifts, but I can't repay them. What should I do?" After seeing the messages from the 2 women, Du Yu wanted to say to them, "How about you give me your underwear? Doesn't this seem a little too shady? How about you take some artistic photos for me? Isn't this a little too eager? Forget it, let them owe me first." When there are too many gifts and they have nothing to repay, they will have no choice but to promise them with their lives. Thinking of this, Du Yu deliberately replied, "I heard that your singing and dancing are very good. How about you make a video of dancing and playing the piano for me? I also want to see the famous singing and dancing of Big and Little Joes from the 3 kingdoms. It is really an honor for me to be able to see these 2 beauties singing and dancing after 1,800 years." At this time, the 2 women received gifts from Du Yu. Looking at the flashlight, according to the instructions for use, when you push the button, it emits a light as bright as day. This shocked the 2 of them and shocked them. Then they looked at each other in shock. Oh my god, this is divine weapon. It doesn't even need fire, and doesn't need oil to emit strong light. It's unimaginable to use it for lighting at night. Can it be said that people in 1,000 years have become immortals and gods? They are all using such godlike things. Then they took out the lantern and put in the lamp oil according to the instructions. After being lit and adjusted, the lantern emits a strong light. This also made them feel very shocked and surprised. Oh my god, is this the lamp that people will use 1,000 years later? This is much more convenient and brighter than an oil lamp. This gift from Mr. Du Yu is really too valuable. Seeing Du Yu's reply at this moment, Xiao Chao looked at each other, and then began to dress up to make herself look beautiful. Then I started to follow the tutorial sent by Du Yu and record the video there. The 2 recorded it very carefully, because in their hearts, the gifts Du Yu gave them were simply fairy supplies and priceless. Therefore, They tried their best to meet Du Yu's small request. They even changed into several sets of clothes that they thought were the most beautiful, and recorded several clips and sent them to Du Yu. After Du Yu saw it, he immediately covered his nose. Otherwise, he really felt like he was going to spurt blood. Why? Because Xiao Chao is not yet skilled in taking videos. They changed several sets of clothes to shoot the video, but when changing clothes midway, they didn't know to press pause. The result can be imagined. A dance, several costumes, and the process of changing several costumes were all photographed. The two of them were afraid that Du Yu would wait too long, so they sent it over without even reading it after taking the photo. Du Yu's eyes sparkled when he saw it, and he quickly replied, "The photo was great. The singing and dancing of the two beauties is so exciting. It's too little, I can't get enough of it. If you are willing, please take some more videos and send them to me." Seeing that his singing and dancing were praised by Du Yu, Da Chao and Xiao Chao were also very happy and quickly replied, "Young master likes to see it, it's great. Wait a moment and we'll rehearse some more songs and dances." So Xiao Chao changed several sets of clothes. "Sisters, you played the piano and I danced, alternating with each other. I took a longer video and sent it over." After Du Yu watched it, he kept likes in his heart. There will be hundreds of millions more videos like this. If he couldn't only post 2 videos a day, he would definitely have to keep asking. He couldn't help but admire. The young ladies in ancient times were really so enthusiastic. Every young lady takes the initiative to send me videos and photos like this. You are testing my bottom line as a person. I really want to say, little sister, I am not such a person. But you guys are really good at judging people. After losing contact with Xiao Chao, Du Yu snorted softly. The ladies are very enthusiastic, but Sister Yaya is a little unconscious. She still wants me to urge her. It looks like she needs to be trained more intensively. Click to open Tushin Yaya's orchard and click to steal the shapeshifting grass. Ding, the steal was successful and you got the transforming pond 2 plants. The transformation grass mutated when transmigrating the world's latitude and became the phoenix-shaped transformation grass. By taking Phoenix Transformation Grass, you can have the ability to transform into a phoenix. You can transform into a phoenix once a day for 1 hour. Within 1 hour you will have the power of the phoenix, which can destroy the world and be reborn from the ashes. As for how much power you can exert, it depends on your own strength. The minimum you can obtain is no less than 10 times your own strength. Ding, congratulations on getting 2 round grasses. Ding, congratulations to your friend Tushin Yaya for getting 2 phoenix-shaped transformation grasses at the same time. Not bad, good stuff. Du Yu praised and put it away, then sent a message to Tushin Yaya. Sister Yaya, did you forget to do some important things today? Shouldn't you send me some beautiful photos and a wonderful video to my dear master? When Tushin Yaya saw the message, she was immersed in the joy of getting the functioning transformation grass, but her face immediately turned cold. This made the surrounding monsters tremble again. Why, my queen is getting excited again. But Tushin Yaya soon controlled her emotions again. I thought to myself, okay, just shoot. It's better than him coming over to take pictures in person. Thinking of those embarrassing postures manipulated by the other party last night. Tushin Yaya couldn't help but tremble slightly and bit her lip. Then I quickly and consciously started taking artistic photos and videos. I was afraid that it would be too late and Du Yu would cross over again and personally guide her on how to shoot more artistically. After taking the photo and sending it over, Tushin Yaya gritted her teeth secretly. You big pervert, just wait for me. One day I, Tushin Yaya, will step on you and make you look good. After admiring Tushin Yaya's artistic photos and videos for a while, Du Yu sighed, it's really good. Sister Yaya's shooting skills have also made great progress. This is all because of my good teaching. After coming out of the system space, Du Yu called Cheng Lingruo and took Xiaozi down the mountain. He was going to go shopping in the town and buy a little white rabbit and some crickets. He remembered, however, that feeding the white jade rabbit with mangoes from the 1,000-year-old moonlight crystal mango tree he obtained would have a certain probability of opening up the other person's intelligence and the possibility of becoming a spirit. It should be very interesting to keep a rabbit spirit as a pet. Think about it, how that song goes, who brought you to me? It's the round bright moon. If the little rabbit becomes a spirit in the future, I must teach the other person to sing this song. So of course I have to buy a little white rabbit to take home. Not only that, if he consumes the 1,000-year-old nectar for a long time, there is a chance that it will trigger special functions and the ability to communicate with insects. Naturally, you need to buy some insects and come back to practice more. At the foot of the mountain, he also heard the legend about the centenarian coral. Then Du was about to vomit blood. Your mother, your ability to spread rumors is too strong. When will the century-old grass coral be able to live and die with human flesh and bones? How the hell didn't I know it had this feature? What? I sold a 100-year-old coral for 1 billion. When did I sell a 100-year-old coral? Your uncle, who is behind this rumor about me. Du almost collapsed when he saw every uncle and aunt greeting him enthusiastically and asking about centenary grass coral. If you don't talk about the words of rural women, they are unreliable. Whenever there is any trouble, I will help you and spread the rumors very smoothly. Du tried his best to explain that the century-old grass coral was not that magical. He also got the century-old grass coral from a friend and did not sell it. As a result, the explanation became more and more unclear, and the uncles and aunties around thought he was being modest. Xiaoyu, please stop being modest. Everyone is talking about this. It's groundless. Besides, you have money and we won't borrow money from you. If you sell it for 1 billion, you can sell it for 1 billion. What's wrong with admitting it? Times have changed now. Being rich is a glorious thing and no one will beat you up. It's not for sale, it's better not to sell it. Don't sell that kind of good stuff, keep it for yourself, it will be more valuable if you put it away. Yes, if one day I come to ask you when the horse is about to die, even if it is sold for 10 billion, they will have to buy it. When Du heard this, he almost cried, Uncle and Aunt, I don't have it. No, Xiaoyu, you can have this. This really doesn't exist. Rumors have spread everywhere in the town, and the direct consequence of this is that Du's plan to buy white rabbits, crickets, and grasshoppers was stillborn. Because when he went to buy a rabbit, the other party offered him a price of 100,000, which made Du vomit 3 liters of blood. Looking at the man selling the rabbit, he said, Master, your rabbit is made of gold. A rabbit costs 100,000, why don't you steal the money? The other party chuckled and said, Who doesn't know you? You can find good things like century-old grass and coral, which shows that you have poisonous eyes. The thing you fancy is definitely a good thing. I can't sell it at a low price. This made Du's teeth itch with hatred. Okay, uncle, you can keep it. If you keep it and give birth to cubs, maybe it will be more valuable in the future. Then he went to buy grasshoppers and crickets. The other party had a grasshopper and a cricket, and asked him for 10,000. This made Du start to doubt life. Do I look like someone who was taken advantage of? Okay, you guys are so cruel, I can't afford it. When I have time, I will drive to the city to buy some. Oh, farmers, they have also learned bad things. This reminded Du of a video on the internet, where a fruit farmer cut a fruit and inserted a water pipe into it, saying that his fruit was delicious and juicy. It's like rubbing people's intelligence on the ground. This made Du feel quite depressed. Fortunately, good news came out at this time. Misaka Makoto accepted the invitation from her friend. Du found a small tea house, then gave Ching Lingruo a credit card and said with a smile, Take Xiaozi to go shopping and see what you like and buy some. I'm sitting here waiting for you. A friend just sent me a message. I'll reply. 0 Please give me flowers. When Ching Lingruo heard this, she left with Xiaozi who was unwilling to be clingy. Misaka Makoto rubbed her sleepy ears. She fought all night last night and took a nap today. When she woke up, she found an invitation from the Fengji stealing food group system. She was a little surprised. What was this? Could it be some new thing created by Academy City? So click to accept the invitation and enter the system interface. Then he held his chin and said to himself, It turns out to be a casual game. At this time, Shirai Kuroko jumped over from the side, hugged Misaka Makoto's neck, and twisted around like a snake. Oni-sama, you finally woke up. Oh, point zero. Misaka Makoto simply replied with one word, but Shirai Kuroko was stunned, and then touched Misaka Makoto's forehead. Oni-sama, are you sick? You shouldn't. At this time, shouldn't you have punched me away? Oh my god, my sister is sick. Kuroko will definitely take good care of her. Oh, it seems like I don't have a fever. Misaka Makoto was speechless. You pervert, get out. Haha, this is my Oni-sama. So Shirai Kuroko started to pester her again. My sister didn't hit me just now. Have you finally accepted Kuroko's love? Hearing this, Misaka Makoto couldn't bear it anymore and punched Shirai Kuroko flying out. But then Shirai Kuroko activated his space ability, and in a flash, he returned behind Misaka Makoto. Sister hits me, this is my sister. What are you thinking about, sister? You're not paying attention to me. Kuroko is very sad. Misaka Makoto replied. I was looking at a new casual game released by City Academy. Didn't you receive the notice? Shirai Kuroko was stunned for a moment, and then said, no. Is there any new game from City Academy? No one notified me. Impossible. Logically speaking, I am the disciplinary committee member. If something happens, I should know the news before my sister does. At this time, Misaka Makoto pointed to the void in front of her and said, this is the game. Shirai Kuroko was even more stunned. There is nothing, Oni-sama. Oh my god, sister-in-law, are you sick? Why are you pointing at the air in front of you? Oh my god, no, I have to take my sister to have her brain checked. Misaka Makoto punched her away again, and then said, you are the one with the disease in your head. Then she sat cross-legged on the bed, showing a thoughtful expression. It's really interesting that Kuroko can't see what I can see. At this time, Duyu had already clicked on Misaka Makoto's orchard interface. Well, there is basically nothing in the other party's orchard. That's right, among the students in Academy City, who will farm. So nothing is normal. There are several bonsais placed in Misaka Makoto's orchard, which appear to be the plants and flowers she usually cultivates. Forget it, just steal one and say hello first. Ding, the steal was successful and you got kumquats 5 pieces. Kumquats changed when they crossed latitude and space. Because this kumquat tree was often irrigated by Misaka Makoto, it inadvertently absorbed the energy of lightning. When transmigrating, the lightning properties were strengthened, and it became Raiden Yao Satoru. Thunder kumquats contain powerful lightning energy. After eating them, ordinary people will immediately be promoted to LV level 5 lightning superpowers and become a railgun like Misaka Makoto. LV level 5 lightning superpower users can be promoted to LV 6 thunder and lightning absolute power users by eating 5 lightning kumquats, and can be promoted to LV 7 lightning divine level users by eating 50 lightning kumquats. The highest level can be promoted to LV 7 divine level ability user. Ding, congratulations on getting 5 thunder kumquats. Ding, I'm glad your friend Misaka Makoto got 5 thunder kumquats at the same time. Duyu's eyes suddenly widened. This is so awesome. I didn't expect that Misaka Makoto's superpower was stolen all of a sudden. This one orange can become a City College LV level 5 superpower. This is really profitable. Duyu couldn't wait to take out a kumquat. I saw that this kumquat showed a beautiful amber golden orange color, which was exquisite and cute, but there was a layer of Kong purple electro-optical pigment surrounding the surface of this orange. A trace of thunder and lightning is like a small thunder dragon, constantly jumping out of the orange, leaping across the surface, and drilling into the orange again, so cute and magical. Kumquats are different from ordinary oranges. They are small in size, with thin skin and tender flesh. They are a fruit that can be eaten with the orange peel. And its orange peel is a rare delicacy. If dried alone and pickled, it can become the famous 9-system tangerine peel. So Duyu threw the little kumquat into his mouth without hesitation. After chewing it twice, the unique sweet taste of oranges filled your mouth, which was indescribably delicious. Immediately afterwards, I felt a burst of electric light penetrate into my body. Then his whole body uncontrollably emitted strong thunder and lightning. Crackling, countless electric flowers surrounded the surroundings. In an instant, all the circuits in the small tea house were burned out. The tables, chairs and benches in front of Duyu were also scorched by lightning. But soon these electric lights were absorbed into his body again. Duyu couldn't help but frown. You made such a big noise, how can you explain it later? At this time, the store owner ran past with a look of fear and worry, and stepped forward to touch Duyu's body. Then he breathed a sigh of relief, and then quickly bowed and apologized. I'm sorry. Guest, Are you okay? I didn't expect that the circuit in our store was short-circuited. This doesn't hurt you, does it? Are you okay? Do you want to go to the hospital? It turned out that the other party had misunderstood, that there was a problem with the circuit in his store, and almost injured the customer. If someone is electrocuted and electrocuted to death, he will be fully responsible and may have to lose everything. Du Yu frowned when he heard this, and thought to himself, that's right, who would have thought that these thunder and lightning came from me? What superpowers are there in real society? Even if I say it, most people won't believe it. 0 inches. Don't read those novels and books where you fantasize about practicing and having superpowers all day long. But if you really say that you have this ability, people will most likely treat you as a lunatic and give you an idiot look. Du Yu felt relieved when he thought of this, as long as no one doubted him, but the owner of the store burned all the circuits in the store, causing a lot of losses, which made him feel bad. After all, many circuits in modern buildings are hidden in the walls. Once burned down, it is not easy to repair them. After the circuits in the entire store were repaired, the store was unable to do business for a few days, and the equipment and electrical appliances were burned out. The store owner estimated that the loss would be tens of thousands. So Du Yu said, it doesn't matter, I'm fine. This problem may also be due to me. I just wanted to charge my mobile phone, and I don't know how it could be short-circuited. I'm really sorry for the loss this has caused you. What do you think? I'll pay you 100,000 yuan to reconcile. The shop owner was stunned for a moment. Why are there still people rushing to pay for it? When a short-circuit occurs, who can tell whose fault it is? After all the circuits in the store were burned out. He thought he was unlucky and would lose tens of thousands of dollars, but he didn't expect Du Yu to take the initiative. This was the first time he met such a good customer. Du Yu readily transferred 100,000 yuan to the other party, then turned and left. At this time, Misaka Makoto was also shocked and speechless. She took out a thunder kumquat from the system space and looked at the orange in silence. It's really incredible that just by eating 5 of these things, you can be promoted to LV6 Absolute Ability User. However, now she couldn't help but not believe that the sudden appearance of the system and the thunder and lightning kumquat were indeed in her hands. Next to him, Shirai Kuroko grabbed Misaka Makoto's neck from behind, and smiled in surprise and said, Oni-sama, what is this? Why did it suddenly appear in Oni-sama's hands? Has Oni-sama also awakened her spatial ability? Oh my god, that sister is the first dual ability person in our urban college. Misaka Makoto was a little silent at this time. Whether she was a dual ability person or she obtained this system by herself, it was something that had never been done before in Urban Academy. And she has also experienced a lot of darkness in urban colleges, so she has always been skeptical about whether to expose her system. Then she sighed and said, Haitsi, please keep this matter a secret for me. Kuroko Shirai took a rare moment of seriousness and said seriously, okay, Oni-sama. No matter what the situation, Kuroko is loyal to Oni-sama. I will love Oni-sama my whole life. After saying that, he suddenly pounced on again, sister, just obey me. Misaka Makoto angrily grabbed her head and pushed her on the bed, then stepped on her foot to suppress her. But Kuroko Shirai was twisting around on the bed excitedly. Wow, this is a whipping from Oni-sama. It's the whipping that Oni-sama loves. Sister-sama, please do it more violently. Kuroko can bear it. Misaka Makoto slapped her forehead and said softly, this pervert is hopeless. After the fuss, Misaka Makoto put on her clothes and said, Kuroko, please give me a day off. I won't go to class today because I have something to do. In addition, please use your ability to send me away and find a place without surveillance. I want to temporarily avoid the surveillance of the academy. Shirai Kuroko nodded and said, okay, Oni-sama. A moment later, Shirai Kuroko took Misaka Makoto to an abandoned construction site by the river. After the other party left, Misaka Makoto took out all 5 thunder kumquats she got. She is going to be promoted to LV level 6, but she doesn't know what changes will happen during this period. But she didn't want City College to know that she had advanced. There were too many dark things in the college, which made her no longer so confident about the college. Especially when it comes to such unbelievable things. As long as you eat 5 small oranges, you can be promoted from LV5 superpower level to LV6 absolute power level. This kind of thing will make countless people crazy. Not only that, if an ordinary person eats such an orange, he can directly obtain LV5 super level lightning control ability. No matter from which point you look at it, this is something that is unexplainable and makes everyone crazy. If those crazy scientists in the academy knew about it, who knows what trouble would be caused. When she was still young, she was naive and simple, and was deceived by those scientists into doing a cloning experiment. The matter of the Misaka sister she cloned has not yet been resolved. This made her realize that the consortium forces behind the academy, who built this academy city and gathered all people with superpowers together, were only doing experiments to benefit themselves. They all said it was good to study superpowers to benefit mankind. But Misaka Makoto now realizes that is not the case. Their real purpose may be to create a LV6 or even LV level 7 ability user for their use. Even the real purpose is to study superpowers like themselves so that they can obtain godlike abilities beyond this world, and then achieve their ambition to rule the world forever. It's just that the power behind the academy is too huge, and it may be the official military of his little country. This made Misaka Makoto very vigilant. One thing she was sure of was that with her LV level 5 superpower, she would never be able to resist the entire academy city. At most, they just have more say than others. By cooperating with the academy, LV level 5 superpowers like her can seek sufficient benefits for themselves in the future. If you don't cooperate, you may be the target of being controlled and erased in the future. Even a LV5 ability user like her has only seen the tip of the iceberg of the academy's strength. Even though she is now the only 7 LV level 5 superpowers in the college, before her, the city college existed long ago. Was there no LV level 5 among the students of so many years before her? Going a step further, is this the only one in Academy City? How many Academy City are there, and how many LV level 5 superpowers are there? No one knows this. At least Misaka Makoto is not sure that the information she has received is accurate. Not only that, except for their little country, don't other countries in the world have people with such superpowers? The answer is negative. She used to think so, but since she met Index, she learned that there are magicians in the Western world who have powers beyond ordinary people. So this world is far more complicated than I imagined. Academy City wants to artificially create LV level 6 ability users. Since the other party dares to create it, it proves that the other party has the confidence to control such ability users. Judging from the desire for control displayed by the dark force behind Academy City, he would never create a force that would resist him and that he could not suppress. The confidence shown by this made Misaka Makoto suspect that there might have been an absolute ability user at LV level 6 before. Either he joined this dark force, or he was suppressed by them. So Misaka Makoto decided to secretly advance to LV level 6 without letting anyone know, and then use this magical system to continuously obtain these thunder kumquats. Only when she was promoted to LV level 7 did she have enough confidence to overturn this darkness. Thinking of this, she swallowed a kumquat, and in an instant, strong thunder and lightning erupted uncontrollably from her body. Immediately afterwards, Misaka Makoto did not dare to slack off and swallowed the thunder kumquats one after another. She knew that she had caused a lot of noise. Although there were no cameras to monitor her, once she attracted the attention of the academy, the designer of the tree map could mobilize satellites to observe her at any time. So she had to advance quickly before attracting the other party's attention, and then leave here quickly. However, after just eating 3 thunder kumquats, Misaka Makoto felt that the thunder and lightning in her body could no longer be suppressed. In an instant, thunder dragons burst out from her body, and the powerful thunder and lightning energy spread to a radius of 1 kilometer. She knew that she had been promoted to LV level 6, but she felt a little strange in her heart. Isn't it said that you will be promoted after eating 5 oranges? How come you were promoted after eating 3? Misaka Makoto didn't even think about it. She had been constantly training her abilities over the years. Although she was still a LV level 5 superpower, she had made great progress compared to a few years ago. Her years of training have already made her abilities twice as powerful as before, equivalent to the energy of 2 thunder and lightning kumquats. Is this why she was able to advance after only eating 3 thunder kumquats? At this time, she couldn't think too much and quickly threw the other 2 oranges into her mouth. After swallowing the huge amount of energy, she was soon able to control, master, and restrain the violent thunder and lightning energy, and glanced at the bridge not far away. Then he stretched out his hand to activate the super electromagnetic power of thunder and lightning, which formed a strong suction force with the steel of the bridge, and pulled her body flying out in an instant. She flew directly under the bridge, then jumped onto the bridge and spotted a bus in the endless traffic. The electromagnetic suction was activated again, and it penetrated directly into the bottom of the bus close to the ground. It was tightly attached to the bottom of the bus, and then disappeared into the traffic flow. Misaka Makoto was sure that her movements at this time must have attracted the attention of the tree diagram designer, who must be mobilizing satellites. Soon, this area will be under its surveillance, and she cannot let the other party find out that she has appeared. Otherwise, the opponent will most likely calculate that he has exceeded LV level 6. At this time, Duyu had also become a LV5 lightning superpower, and then sent a message to Misaka Makoto. Miss Misaka Makoto, my name is Duyu, and I am from another world. You can also call me a person from the main world, because I know everything that happens in your world, including what happened in the past and what will happen in the future. I'm glad to be friends with you. By the way, after eating those 5 kumquats, you were promoted to LV level 6, right? Don't be in a hurry to expose your abilities, especially to Academy City. The opponent's dark power is very powerful. Don't act rashly until you understand everything. In addition, I want to ask you something. Those people with LV level 4 or above ability in Academy City, if they have planted any flowers, whether you buy them or borrow them, please bring the plants they grow and plant them in this system space. It will be good for you and me. At this time, Misaka Makoto was clinging to the bottom of the car, and she looked thoughtful after seeing Duyu's message. The other party actually knows everything about our world, including what will happen in the future. Is the other party a god? In this case, the other party reminded me not to expose it even if I reach LV level 6. Sure enough, my concerns were right. It looks like I need to be more careful in the future. The other party asked me to collect plants grown by people with abilities above LV level 4. What is the purpose of this? Suddenly she thought, wasn't her thunder kumquat the result of the other party stealing the fruit from her original kumquat plant and mutating it? Only then did she seriously examine the role of the food stealing system in Myriad worlds. After reading it, she realized clearly. In other words, we are constantly stealing from each other, and both parties can benefit greatly. Because my ability is thunder and lightning, after the things I plant are stolen by others, the fruits obtained by mutation will allow the user to gain thunder and lightning abilities, and it will also make those who have already acquired thunder and lightning abilities more powerful. In other words, if the plants grown by other ability users are stolen in this way, the fruits obtained by mutation will most likely allow the user to obtain other people's abilities. So that's it. In this way, this Duyu and I can become dual ability users, triple ability users, or even multi-ability users. Thinking of this, Misaka Makoto's eyes couldn't help but light up. She quickly clicked on Duyu's interface, stealing the other party's grapes. Ding, if you steal successfully, you will get 2 miles of summer black grapes. When Shahei Grape was transmigrating the world dimension, he was affected by the electromagnetic gun world energy and mutated into purple electric grape. Purple lightning grapes contain the ability of purple lightning, allowing the user to understand the secret of purple lightning. Purple lightning is the most destructive lightning in the universe. It is the thunder of heavenly punishment and destruction, and contains the rules of destruction. If you consume it for a long time, you will gradually understand the power of the rules of destruction, and you can continuously upgrade your lightning ability up to LV level 9. Ding, congratulations on getting 2 bunches of purple electric grapes. Ding, congratulations to your friend Duyu for winning 2 bunches of purple electric grapes at the same time. Purple thunder and lightning. Misaka Makoto couldn't help but be surprised. Quote, thunderbolts are usually white, which is the most common. When the energy of thunder and lightning becomes more powerful, it will appear red. The stronger the energy, the closer the color is to blue. Different energy intensities will cause lightning to appear. red, orange, yellow, green, cyan, blue, purple, various colors. It's just that lightning in these colors is very rare, Nuo Wang Jiao. Among them, purple is the lightning with the most violent energy and the highest density. It makes perfect sense to say that it is the most destructive. At this time, Misaka Makoto stretched out 2 fingers, with red lightning wrapped around them. Although she was a LV level 5 superpower in the past, she could control the emitted electric energy, which was only white. Now that she has reached LV level 6, she can already emit strong red lightning, and her power is several times stronger than before. Not only that, this red thunder and lightning has an even hotter temperature. While giving the enemy an electric shock, it can also deal fire damage to the opponent. This gave her a guess. Maybe if I advance to LV level 7, I can control orange lightning or yellow lightning thoughts. Maybe I can control cyan lightning and blue lightning in the future. This made Misaka Makoto's eyes brighter. The 2 bunches of grapes she obtained allowed her to understand the destructive rules of purple lightning from eating them. In a sense, eating this kind of grape for a long time can give oneself more powerful superpowers than LV level 7. This made her gasp in surprise. The things she encountered today were increasingly beyond her imagination. When the bus stopped somewhere in the city and everyone got off the bus, Misaka Makoto got out from under the bus after she felt that no one was there. Then he used his electromagnetic ability to block the surrounding signal sources and sent a message to Shirai Kuroko. Sorry for your trouble, Kuroko, come and pick me up. Okay, sister-in-law, please wait a moment, your black man will come to pick you up soon. Soon, Shirai Kuroko avoided all surveillance through space shuttle and came to Misaka Makoto. Immediately afterwards, he took Misaka Makoto back to the dormitory through space. Shirai Kuroko himself traveled through space and returned to school. At this time, Misaka Makoto wore her school uniform and walked out of dormitory 140, deliberately exposing herself to the camera in order to create an alibi for herself. At this time, Academy City's intelligence, the designer of the transcendent level computer tree diagram, had detected abnormal energy fluctuations in the northwest corner of the academy. Due to recent construction, it has become a desolate construction site, so there are not enough cameras to monitor it. It quickly mobilized the satellite's high-definition camera to look down from high altitude. Strong energy fluctuations were detected, suspected to be lightning. Currently, there are 3 possibilities. First, there is a large-scale circuit short circuit and strong discharge. But there is currently no evidence that there is a large-scale circuit short circuit here. Second, there was a sudden and unexplained lightning discharge here. According to the weather data we have, the probability of a bolt from the blue happening here is less than 1%. Third, those with abilities can control thunder and lightning here. The detected lightning energy fluctuation exceeds LV level 5. Search for the current location of Misaka Makoto, the Academy's LV level 5 lightning superpower. Misaka Makoto has been detected. She is currently in the girls' dormitory of City College and has an alibi. Open new algorithms and repredict the possibility of this phenomenon. The recalculation is completed, and 5 new options appear. The 4th scenario is that Western lightning magicians appear here, but there is currently no definite evidence. The 5th scenario is that a thunder warlock from Dongfang Sha Kingdom appears here. There is currently no definite evidence. The 6th situation. When Du Yu found Cheng Lingruo and Xiaozi, he didn't expect that one of them was holding a little white rabbit, and the other was holding a grasshopper and cricket in his hand. But it turned out that the 2 of them looked at Du Yu and wanted to buy these things, but they didn't buy them because they were expensive. Then they ran to bargain with the stall owner and bought it back. To be honest, Du Yu was really touched by this. Senior brother, you want to buy a little white rabbit, I bought it for you. Hey, he is a good bargainer. I bought this little rabbit back. It's so cheap. When Du Yu heard this, he couldn't help but ask, how much did it cost? Cheng Lingruo replied, it doesn't cost much. After some bargaining, I bought it for 10,000 yuan. Hearing this, Du Bao almost spit out blood. Why don't you scold her a few words, and then look at Cheng Lingruo's proud expression, please praise me. He really, Dabe couldn't take it, and the other party also had good intentions. This simple little girl has never been down the mountain, how can she know how much a rabbit costs? Originally, They asked for 100,000 yuan, but she counter-offered 10,000 yuan and bought it. She thought it was a bargain. I can buy hundreds of rabbits for $10,000. However, he looked at the other person's expression when he thought he had done something good for him and was waiting for him to praise him. Du could only twitch his mouth and said, "Yes, it is quite cheap." It can only be said that people nowadays have a very bad conscience, and they can't bear to deceive such a beautiful girl. My conscience is really dead and broken. But isn't it precisely because of this rare innocence of the other person that I like him? You can't blame the other party for this, because the other party has been in the mountains all the time. He has never been exposed to the society down the mountain, and he doesn't understand the prices down the mountain. Who knows how black the people down the mountain are now? Then Du took the little white rabbit by its neck and said to Ching Lingruo, "Junior sister, your bargaining skills are very high, but you still don't want to buy anything in the future. For such a trivial matter as bargaining, senior brother, I should do it myself." Then he turned around, picked up the little rabbit, looked at the other person with fierce eyes, and said softly through gritted teeth, "I bought you for 10,000 yuan. If you can't become a spirit, I will make you into a braised rabbit meat." The little white rabbit shook its ears, and its big red eyes flickered, seeming to show a hint of fear. Ching Lingruo asked from behind, "Senior brother, what are you doing?" Du turned around with a smile and said, "Nothing to do, I want to see if it is a male or a female and exchange feelings with it." The little rabbit was kicking its legs wildly in Du's hands, stretching its legs as if it wanted to struggle in the direction of Ching Lingruo, which seemed to be saying, "Master, come and save me, someone is threatening me." "Does it matter whether it's a male or a female?" Ching Lingruo asked doubtfully. Du nodded and said, "It's very important. If it's a male, castrate it. I've done the math. Our family has special feng shui and shouldn't have too many male creatures." "So that's it." Ching Lingruo nodded, took the little rabbit, and then said, "Brother, don't worry, I've seen it, it's female." The little white rabbit also quickly nestled in Ching Lingruo's arms, not daring to move its head, probably because it felt that the great demon head in front of it was too fierce. Then Du looked at the crickets and gourds in Xiaozi's hands, the corners of his mouth twitched again, and then said, "If I guessed correctly, these two things should be very cheap, right?" Du also gritted his teeth and said the word, "cheap," with great courage. When Xiaozi heard this, she just nodded and said, "Dad, I'm better than my sister. I'll give you a cheaper price." When Du heard this, he asked desperately, "How much is it cheaper?" "2, only 1,000. Isn't it cheap?" When Du heard this, he looked up at the sky and said nothing for a long time, and finally said, "My dear, you are really a bargaining genius. From now on, it's up to me to do the small things like shopping and bargaining with your sister Lingruo." He scolded those black-hearted guys again in his heart. "Ah, a beautiful woman who doesn't care about the world, a little girl who just came to this world, are you willing to cheat like this? It's dark, it's so dark. Doesn't your conscience hurt?" Just as I was thinking this, I saw a large group of uncles and aunties chasing after me like a whirlwind in the distance. "Girl, do you want a rabbit? I also have a little white rabbit here. Mine is cheap, just 8,000. Girl, this is cheaper for me, 6,000, 6,000 is enough. Daughter, I sold it to you at a loss just because you were a nice person. Oh, little girl, do you still want grasshoppers? The grasshoppers here are cheaper, 400 for one, and I'll give you 3 for 1,000. My crickets here cost 4 for 1,000 yuan, but there is no shop like this after passing this village." Hearing this, Du stood in front of the two of them, looked at the enthusiastic uncles and aunts, gritted his teeth and said, "Thank you. We don't need that many. I appreciate your kindness and I thank you 8 generations of ancestors. To be honest, the people in this town have some relatives or friends. If it weren't for this and seeing that the other person was older, Du would really want to beat them up." Although he didn't care about the 10,000 or 8,000, it was just the feeling of being cheated and being taken advantage of that made Citrus very unhappy. Then he turned around and pulled Ching Lingruo and Xiaozi away. "Okay, junior sister, Xiaozi, let's go home." Don't go. We sold them cheap, 4,000 rabbits each, no, 3,000. 2,000. Is 2,000 a pair enough? The grasshopper was sold cheaply, 402. Don't go. No, 404. On the way up the mountain, Ching Lingruo was a little silent, not in a good mood, and then asked weakly, "Brother, did I pay too much for this rabbit? Have I been cheated?" No matter how innocent she was, she knew that she seemed to have been deceived, because the old men and women were following behind her, and the rabbits were already bidding for 1,000 each. She even vaguely heard someone shouting, 1,000 pairs. Du Yu gently touched her head and said with a smile, "You were not deceived. You're just too kind. You have never been down the mountain, so you don't know the prices at the foot of the mountain. Besides, the little rabbit is a life. Life is priceless. Just do what you like." Xiaozi clenched her fists angrily in Du Yu's arms. These bad guys. Ching Lingruo couldn't help but asked again, "Senior brother, can you tell me how much this rabbit is worth?" Du Yu laughed and said, "Why bother with this problem? Let's put it this way, 10,000 yuan is basically enough for people at the foot of the mountain to live for 3 months. So weigh it before buying something." Hearing this, Ching Lingruo almost cried. "No, I will settle the score with them." Living alone for 3 months, she felt like she was at a loss. Thinking of her in the mountains, a senior brother had to eat 5 kilograms of spiritual grains, 1 gram of 100 flower honey, and other spiritual fruit medicinal materials a month. 3 months, how much is this? She still knows about rabbits. She and her senior brother often catch them in the mountains. The rabbits that were so easy to get, they actually lied to themselves about so many good things, which really made Ching Lingruo very angry. Obviously, Du Yu's words made her misunderstand again. Du Yu meant that 10,000 yuan was enough for ordinary people down the mountain to live for 3 months. But he didn't expect Ching Lingruo to know what kind of life the people living under the mountain lived. So he naturally substituted himself for the living standards of his brothers. 0 Please give me flowers. If Du Yu knew this, he would probably have to vomit blood again. The direct consequence of this is that Ching Lingruo will really become a haggling madman in the future. Because when she bargains, she always puts the price into the expenses of her brothers and sisters on the mountain. So if someone sells something for RMB 100, she dares to counter-offer it for RMB 1. When they returned to the mountain, Manager Wu, who was tidying up the orchard in the back mountain, rushed over. "Mr. Du, we have almost finished the fencing for the orchard in the back mountain. I wonder if there are any other instructions. I heard from Mr. Hu that you want to build a manor here. If you have any ideas, just let us know." Hearing this, Du Yu nodded. His small courtyard now felt smaller. 0. I don't know how many people will be in the house in the future, so only 3 rooms will definitely not be enough. He nodded and said, "I want to expand a yard in the open space next to my small yard. You can design it for me in the style of a classical garden. The whole piece of land next to it is about 5 acres in size. You can come up with a design plan. Build me a few more rooms, the more the better. I estimate that we will have more people in our family in the future." The other party replied, "Okay. Mr. Du, I will find a professional designer to design it for you. I will give you a rendering within 3 days. If you are satisfied with it, we will follow the design." Du Yu nodded and said, "Okay, I'll leave this matter to you. For professional matters, ask professionals. Even if the materials are good, I am prepared to live there for the rest of my life." Upon hearing this, the other party quickly said, "Don't worry about this, I dare not fail to do what Mr. Shu ordered me to do." Du Yu returned to his room, opened the snake spirit interface again, and saw that the gourd vine was still there. Although it is said that the gourd is gone, I think this is the gourd vine that grew the gourd baby, so it should not be a mortal thing. I was thinking about stealing it again and seeing what I could steal. Just do it, click to steal. Ding, the steal was successful, and I got the acquired gourd and vine pill. The acquired calabash vine mutated when it transmigrated the world barrier and became the innate calabash vine. The innate gourd vine can be used to refine the innate law treasure fairy whip, and it can also be planted. It is possible that 7 more innate gourds will grow in the future. Ding, congratulations on getting an innate gourd vine. Ding, congratulations to your friend for being a golden snake spirit and getting an innate gourd vine. You can really steal it. It's awesome, it turns out to be an innate spiritual creature. This suddenly made Du Yu feel much better. Of course, he would not be so greedy for natural resources. If he didn't refine this gourd vine into innate law treasure, that would be a big thank you. He threw the innate gourd vine into his system space and planted it on the 16 acres of land in the system space. This has 100-fold time acceleration. Maybe when did 600 come into contact with 7 innate gourds? That, plus the gourd vine itself, is 8 pieces of innate spirit treasure. And after putting it on the 16 acres of land in your own system, you can let others steal it. This might turn you into a better baby. However, there is a rule in the system. Things that have been stolen once and mutated cannot be stolen again. So the gourd vine itself can no longer be stolen, but if it connects 7 gourds, the 7 gourds can still be stolen. It's just that it may take some time. After all, it is an innate spirit root. If you want to grow 7 gourds, it may not take 10 or 100 years. Even if there is a system that accelerates time 100 times, DU estimates that it will take 10 or 8 years before it is possible. But for the 8 innate law treasures, he could afford to wait this time. At this time, outside the cave mansion of Snake Spirit, 7 gourd boys were shouting, "Snake Spirit, come out. You harmful person, I'm here to deal with you today. Hurry up and open the cave door and surrender obediently. If you don't open the door, we're going to attack you." At this time, the golden snake spirit has a sad face. Yesterday, the 7th baby was unexpectedly born early, and suddenly became so powerful. The snake spirit was caught off guard. Especially the law treasure in the opponent's hand, it absorbs everything. Just now the other party called a formation, and she took the little demons out for a big fight. All her little demons carried the opponent's treasure gourd and sucked it away. Even his most proud law treasure, Jin Rui, was sucked into the opponent's gourd. Now she closed the cave mansion door, unable to stop him at all. She only thought that the cave door could block the opponent for a moment, so that she could transform into a snake and escape from the snake hole behind the cave mansion. But at this moment, she suddenly received a prompt from the system. She was stunned for a moment when she saw this prompt, and then took out the gourd vine that had become an innate spiritual creature from the system. I thought to myself, this thing can be trained into innate law treasure, but I don't know if it can beat that calabash baby. For what the system obtains, the system will thoughtfully attach various tutorials. It is very easy to refine the innate law treasure from innate gourd vine to catch the immortal whip. You only need to use monstrous power for some tempering, and you can master it in 3 seconds. But even if she mastered it, her monstrous power could only temporarily activate the first 2 restrictions. I don't know if I can beat that little boy's gourd law treasure. But the snake spirit can no longer control so much at this time, and can only treat the dead horse as a living horse doctor. Thinking of this, she began to use all her magic power and race against time to refine the innate law treasure. A moment later, a bang was heard, and the door of her cave mansion seemed to be opened. Then 7 gourd kids jumped up and chased after her. "Hey, goblin, you are doomed today. Surrender obediently." At this time, the golden snake spirit had been surrounded, but she had also finished refining the immortal whip, and with some confidence in her heart, she snorted and said, "You barbaric boys. If I don't show off my power, you really think I'm a vegetarian?" Chi-Wa laughed and said, "Fairy, you can use whatever abilities you have. Look at my precious gourd accepting you." Urwa was also there waving the snake spirit's Rui and said with a smile, "Humph, golden snake spirit, now that your law treasure Rui is in our hands, what else can you do?" The golden snake spirit shouted angrily, "Today, you and I will fight to the death. Look at my law treasure." After saying that, she waved the fairy whip and whipped it towards Brother Gourd. 0. Seeing this, Chi-Wa threw the treasure gourd into the sky and activated the treasure gourd. "Hey! Don't let the goblin be so rampant. It's up to me to accept your law treasure." However, something surprising happened. Chi-Wa's gourd was blown away by the whip. He didn't show off his power like before and sucked away the snake spirit's law treasure. The innate gourd that was blown away was like a stream of light, bang dong dong, smashing through more than a dozen walls and flying out. The gourd kept rolling in midair, spitting out all the things it had sucked in. The Scorpion King and the little monsters fell everywhere. This shocked both the enemy and ourselves. Even Snake Spirit himself didn't expect this law treasure to be so powerful. She was already prepared to catch the fairy whip and then be sucked away by the opponent's treasure gourd. However, The result was unexpected. After being stunned for a moment, the snake spirit laughed loudly. What skills do you brats have now? Watch my law treasure catch the fairy whip. After saying that, he whipped the whip towards Huo-Hua. When Huo-Hua saw this, he jumped up and uttered thunderbolts. With a click, a bolt of lightning struck the whip. I thought I could chop the whip into pieces, but I didn't expect that the immortal whip would not be affected in any way. Wind, thunder, water, and fire descended from the sky, and the whip fell on Huo-Hua. Huo-Hua screamed, all the fire in his body was gone, and he was immediately frozen into an ice cube. Shui-Hua was shocked. Brother, what's wrong with you? Fairy, give back my brother. As he spoke, he uttered a monstrous flood and rushed towards the snake spirit. The golden snake spirit waved the immortal whip again, and struck it with a whip. The whip filled the sky with wind and fire, and had the potential to burn the mountains, gardens, and seas. Wherever the monstrous sea of fire passed, the water spit out by Shui-Hua was directly burned into a sky full of steam. A whip split the flood into two parts and struck Shui-Hua at once. When Shui-Hua screamed, the skin all over his body turned red all of a sudden, and he screamed, "It's so hot, it's so hot." Then Shui-Hua opened her mouth, spit out a mouthful of hot water vapor, and fell to the ground with a sound. Thanks for watching, please like and subscribe.